rusty pickup to the local game store door. Starfield gleamed upon the shelf, couldn't wait no more. Todd Howard spun his stories of galaxies afar, but when I fired up that game, I didn't get too far. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your little lies. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me feeling like just another fool. They boasted endless planets, each one unique and new. But after planet number 3, I'd felt deja vu. The critics didn't love it, gave it mediocre scores. Just another space misfire, echoed across the board. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your little lies. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true. I searched for epic battles, but the AI wouldn't fight. Characters were wooden and the dialogue was trite. Todd promised me the cosmos, but left me in the dust. Now I'm trading in this game, it's betrayed my trust. Oh, Todd, you weaved a fable of worlds beyond compare, but all I got were glitches and load screens everywhere. Still, somehow I'm considering when the next game's nigh, 'cause hope's a stubborn thing, and I'll give it one more try. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your sweet little lies. I fell for all your deceptions, like I always do. Todd left me sat here, wishing the things he said were true, 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 true.
Just let it go. There's a heist in the making, but who's keeping score? A live service dream they built before. A treasure we're stealing, but hearts are so cold. They're digging for gold in a market that's old. Fair games, it'll change the world, but we've heard it before. It's all been unfurled, from Concorde's collapse to the squad disgrace. Another live service, another rat race. So just let it go. Don't build this high. A castle of servers crumbles with time. Stealing from the rich. Oh, what a thrill to give to the richer and foot the bill. Once we played heroes with tales to unfold. Now it's battle passes and skins to be sold.
That's most definitely what's
We
up.
don't need no lobbies or daily quests.
16 times the detail.
Just give us a game that lets us rest. The Justice League's dead before it took flight. Fair Games feels like it's chasing that plight. We'll always remember your golden days when storytelling shone in the PlayStation race. So just let it go. Don't build this high. A castle of servers crumbles with time. Stealing from the rich. Oh, what a thrill to give to the richer and foot the bill. Shame, oh what a shame. Scrappy-Doo, burning through, yeah, yeah, yeah. rest of us. Wasting money and work, no trust. Burning billions and blaming the boys. Herman don't care, he'll just go back to alloy. Fair games, it's just not your day. Leave lip service to those who've lost their way. Sony, we're begging, just let it go. The world's had enough of this shallow show. Just let it go. Don't build this high. A castle of dreams should reach the sky. Stealing from the rich. Oh, what a thrill to give to the richer and foot the bill.
Hello, everyone. We're back, rocking and rolling. Glad to have you. Hopefully you're feeling good on this lovely day. I know I do be feeling good too. Let me refresh our chat so that we can see it. Boop, 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 boop. Let's see. Ooh, that one worked. Okay. Voila. Thank you for that. Boop. Okay. There we go. How is everybody? Everybody doing good? Feeling good? Feeling alive on this lovely day? Monster Hunter Wilds reviews went up. And so, as did mine. Shocker. Camera froze for a second. Shocker, the game is really good. It runs like hot donkey ass though, just a heads up. So if you were hoping that they like magically fixed performance, they did not. It still runs terribly. Unfortunately, like on my gaming PC with a $1,500 graphics card, it struggles to maintain 60 frames with DLSS and stuff turned on, which is crazy. It's crazy to me, but that's just where we are, I suppose. However, I mean, the game is still really, really good. It's way easier than I remember Monster Hunter being. I'm not really sure, but yeah. Does it at least run a bit better than the beta? Not really, frankly. Like, I can show this. Because we very specifically tweaked this to make it work in my review. So if you go to my review, there's a section later, performance issues, where I show something. Where is it? Right here. This is like a problem I ran into. I don't know if other people ran into it. Lukeception. But basically, like, I hit play here in a second, and I'm going to show you. But this is what it looks like at certain times during late game boss fights. The game just starts glitching out, and then you get this weird, like, artifacting going on, where every frame there's like some bizarre vortex of doom glitching out. And it changes based on where you're looking. So certain camera angles, it doesn't glitch out like this. Others, it does. It's just really weird. I don't know what the deal is, but yeah, is this a sneak peek of Elder Scrolls 6? It might be, honestly. It's just really weird. It's really weird. I don't know what it is. And oddly, when I changed the mesh quality in the settings, it would fix it for a little while. So you could set it to like mesh quality medium, and then it wouldn't do this anymore. But then you flip it back, and then it starts doing it again. You flip it back up to high, and then it fixes it. So it's some bug. There's some issue here. I don't know what the hell is going on. But hard restarts would fix it, and then it would disappear for like 5-10 hours of gameplay. It just would show up kind of randomly. But when it would happen, like, you just couldn't complete the boss fight. Shocker, like, with this going on screen, it's really hard to see like when a monster is coming at you to attack. Like it makes it kind of hard to watch. So unfortunately, that's just something that I ran into. But I do think that they can fix a lot of that with patches and fixes and stuff. It will eventually run better, but it's why you can't take the big corporations' word for it when they say, no, we're totally fixing it by launch. They might, but they might also not. I mean, you can't just take it as gospel truth, which is an unfortunate reality in the modern industry and modern era. So, anyway, other than that, it runs really, it runs well enough to play, but there's many headaches involved. Other than that, it's just, I mean, it's more Monster Hunter. They definitely streamlined a lot. The weirdest thing is that they put a lot of focus on the story this time around, like with lots of motion captured performances. The player character has a lot of dialogue and stuff. It's weird. It's weird because nobody in the history of humanity has ever said, you know what? I love Monster Hunter's stories, but the gameplay is so-so. Like nobody's ever said that. Everybody only plays Monster Hunter for the gameplay, and the story's always been an afterthought. So to see them now put focus into the story was weird. And honestly, like the story is pretty lackluster and bland. Frankly, like I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but I think most people are probably going to be skipping through cutscenes anyways, just based on the Monster Hunter players that I know. I don't think that this story is captivating enough to keep players like, ooh, I want to see what's happening here. But it's more Monster Hunter and it's really good, and I really like it. So thumbs up, but thumbs down for performance optimization and stuff. I don't know how it ran on console. It seems from the reviews, the Xbox port is not great. The PS5 port is pretty good. That seems to be the conclusion at this point. Monster Hunter isn't my cup of tea, but Gemma, Awooga. That's the character, in case you guys don't know, that's the character, the blacksmith, that whenever she would come on screen, you guys would start spamming the chat with like mommy uppies and stuff, like Jimothy right now. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, that's the one. It cannot be any worse than the other games to BH. No one plays Monster Hunter for the story, but that's the difference. Totally not a synth. Is that this time around they're actually trying. They put a lot of effort into it. They put a lot of. I mean, there's just a lot more cutscenes. There's some characters that you can tell they really want you to care about. No spoilers, of course, but like they tried with the story this time around way more than they've tried before. And I still, maybe they'll get there eventually, but as of right now, I'm like, let me go kill the monster. you know, Series S is ducked. I cannot imagine what this thing looks like on the Series S. It's probably FSR'd out the ass. Let's be honest. I don't think they let you skip cutscenes. I don't actually. Can you skip? I'm not sure because I'm not really a cutscene skipper type of person unless it's on like a second playthrough and I'm like grinding through it or something. So I'm not actually sure if you can cut the main story cutscenes. I know you can like skip dialogue, like a line of dialogue at a time, because I would occasionally accidentally do that because I like fidget when I'm holding a controller and I like play with the buttons, and occasionally I'll accidentally skip dialogue. But yeah, I'm not sure. I saw in a review they do allow you to. Oh, well, there you go. So if you want to just totally skip past the story and just get to the point, you can do that. And honestly, I don't think it would affect much of anything. I think you can probably enjoy the game just as much because the story is not really why you play this type of thing. You can't skip the long walking sections. So, I mean, that's true of a lot of games. What was it? There was one game in particular. I'm blanking on it, where they had a lot of like really long sequences of you just walking next to somebody talking, and you couldn't skip it, and you just had to walk and listen to them ramble. It was like a third-person game. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Oh, maybe that's what it was. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Red Dead would do it a lot. Where you're just like riding on horseback to the objective, and you just have to roll with it. So yeah, it's been a thing. It's been a thing. RE6 has an obnoxious walking section at the start of Leon's campaign. Yeah, I don't know why they do that with some of those like more action games, but boss hava. So today we have a handful of things that we're going to talk about. Assassin's Creed Shadows can't catch a break and is just when you think they've gone through enough, there's more. So we'll talk about that. There's rumors of Rocksteady's new game. Rumors are probably crap though. Satya Nadella wants to build out entire games using their AI models that we talked about last week that are confusing. A GTA 6 channel trolled the ever-living crap out of the internet, which was pretty funny with an announcement of a trailer. What else? Let's see, I mentioned that. Yeah, Avowed seems to be going well enough for Microsoft. That's good. There's also leaks for Elder Scrolls 6 that seem to be totally made up. We'll talk about that. And NetEase is gonna continue laying off a ton of people because that's just what they do. So we do have things to chat about that we're gonna go through. So buckle up, buckaroo. Also, I will let you guys know, I am not sure why, but the, excuse me, Jesus Christ. The audio for some of these alerts is not working quite right. So I'm gonna try to refresh it now, but I'm not sure why that is the case, but audio is glitching out for us tonight. Daniel, thank you for the 22 months. Hey, good to see you, Luke. Did you find the shortage of money from merchants, smiths, etc. irritating? Do you mean in KCD or? Oh, you do say in KCD too, specifically. It's. I didn't really find it irritating. I don't know if that's the right word. I think for me, I appreciated that it was grounded in that way, where you couldn't just go and dump like an army's worth of equipment onto one blacksmith who gives you 50,000, crowns. So I appreciated that they didn't have infinite inventories, but there were ways around it where you basically go and like, sell it to this guy, move over, sell more to this guy, move over, sell more to that guy. And you just kind of go around the whole city selling off your stuff. And then if you have leftovers, you put it back in your stash. You come back a few in-game days later, and then you continue grinding that out, and that's just how you do it. I've had fun with Avowed so far. Definitely not a New Vegas or anything, but I think it's pretty fun. The combat exploration are great. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate a lot of what Avowed did. It was too bad that I just managed to attract all of the bugs for all of the reviewers on the planet, but I did enjoy it. Like, again, I think Avowed really confirms for me, and I'm sure other people as well, that Obsidian is now confidently a AA studio. They don't really want to do, it's Groshen. Oh, not Crowns. You're right. Oh my God. We'll end the stream there, guys. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I think I was always hoping that Obsidian would get to the point where they prove themselves with like Pentiment and with maybe Avowed or with Outer Worlds or something, that they would then get greenlit to make the big AAA game, but with their skill sets and talents. But it's pretty clear at this point, that's not what they want to do. They want to do the AA stuff. Yeah, I see Jimothy says 1.5A. Yeah, like they're doing smaller, tighter scope stuff, which frankly, I think Microsoft is much happier with. I don't think Microsoft wants more big, expensive AAA things. They want more of these tighter experiences that they can pump out quick, that fill out Game Pass, that can be their spring release to get people to renew their memberships to Game Pass. And that's what they want to do. And for them, honestly, like, I don't blame them. I think that the AA thing makes more sense for Game Pass. The AAA thing has never really made much sense to me. Like, hey, we spent $300 million on this game that you're going to finish in a week and a half, and then you just cancel your membership after that. Like, it's never really made much sense to spend a lot of money on singularly big single player games that you can just like finish and move on from. It just doesn't make sense. It makes way more sense to invest that money in live service stuff that people play for a long time, so they have to keep their subscriptions, or to create smaller games you can pump out faster, so there's more stuff to get you to stay subscribed, you know. But Avowed has just confirmed that I don't think that they want to do big AAA stuff, so maybe they'll eventually get a Fallout, a whack at the Fallout IP, but I'd be surprised of that at this point. Oh, I don't know why I'm so like short of breath. My lungs are not happy today. But KCD2 is a AAA game at the cost of AA. Well, I think it's properly managed. It's within a reasonable scope. It was built on the foundation of a game they built previously, and it was built in an area of the world where they didn't have to pay San Francisco wages. Like the biggest problem for some of these big studios like EA, Ubisoft, Activision, is that a lot of them have huge numbers of people employed in freakishly expensive areas of the world. And just like the median salary in some of those studios has to be over $120,000 just to get somebody to be able to like make ends meet, which I know it's insane for some people. It's like 120,000 and you're making ends meet. Yeah. In some of these places like San Fran, you're not living like a king on $120,000. I hate to tell you, like your average apartment is like $3,000, $4,000 a month. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. San Fran is freakishly expensive to live in. And so when you have an entire studio built there, you're spending so much money just for the staff. And that adds up a lot when you're talking about like a 3, 4, 5 year development cycle. And then you compare it to like, let's see, you compare it to some of these other studios. Let me see if I can find the original article. Yeah, From Software. This is published October 4th, 2024. The Japanese developer just gave a raise to their employees. So their starting salary for new graduates will go from $1,775 in US dollars, just under $1,800 a month, to $2,050 a month. So they're able, you know, this is in 2022, they announced that they had roles advertised at From Software starting at $1,500 a month. So From Software is able to hire people at these rates, you know, nowadays at these rates. And then in San Fran, they're paying like junior employees $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 because that's just what you have to pay them in order to live there. Starts to make sense how they could get so freaking expensive so quickly, right? Compared to being able to pump something out with like From Software, where you can pay very talented people very, very low, partially because they have the reputation they do. So a lot of people want to work there to get a game like that on their resume. And then also because it's just more standard there, you know? So I just, whenever I see people all the time being like, well, From Software managed to make this game and they only charge $60 for it. It's like, yeah, but they also paid very, very little. Okay. So like, let's just understand what we're talking about. You know, people I've spoken to who work at like EA, for example, make pretty good money, at least within like the dev teams. They make decent money for what they're doing. Whereas some of these other studios, it's like, oh, are they in Tokyo? Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. China's even cheaper. I believe so. I believe so. It's part of the reason why companies like NetEase, there's just this story where they're looking at potentially closing more than a dozen studios worldwide, specifically outside of their core, like Chinese market. Excuse me. I don't know if I'm getting sick, but I'm just sneezing and coughing all over the place. But they're looking at firing and shutting down a lot of its non-Chinese studios. Quote, many of them, the very same ones that announced titles over the last 3 years. Two people familiar with the company's efforts tell GameFile. Neither individual was authorized to speak, blah, blah, blah. But they're looking at laying off and shutting down studios internationally because, like, especially after Black Myth Wukong, it's sort of maybe reignited excitement within the investor pool in China, because they realized, oh, we can pump out some massive games that will be successful in the West and the East. Bada bing, bada boom. Why would we go elsewhere when we can do it way more affordably if we just stay in China? And also within China, I mean, they're not big fans of letting their companies spend a ton of money on outside like acquisitions and stuff. There's all sorts of regulatory things. It's why like Tencent has had to buy shares of big companies, but they haven't bought out a lot of companies. So if you look at them, like they own huge shares in Embracer, they own huge shares in Ubisoft, in pretty much, I mean, frankly, any gaming company, media company you can think of. Tencent probably owns a chunk of them, but they're not buying out those companies. They are buying a chunk and then they kind of sit with that. Chinese gaming industry is an untapped pool of riches. Yeah, and they're starting to realize that they can tap it real quick and rock and roll. Black Myth sold 7 million in the West, 40% of sales. Yeah, Reinhardt, and I think a lot of investors, especially in China for a long time, thought that there wasn't really a way to break through, and that, you know, Chinese games were popular with Chinese audiences, but they wouldn't really break into the Western markets. But now, with Black Myth especially, they've realized, oh, you can. And then you look elsewhere and you're like, oh, Marvel Rivals is popping off. Oh, and it just starts to snowball. And I think that that's why in like 5 years, I wouldn't be surprised if the big companies that are dominating a lot of the annual releases are not like American or French or European companies. My guess is it's going to be a lot of companies from like Korea, Japan, China. It's just going to continue to take over, which more competition is good. Like if it forces companies like Ubisoft, EA, Activision to like wake up and raise their standards, I'm down for it. But that's just what it's going to take is until World War III kicks off. Yeah, unfortunately. So Anyway, it's just the industry's changing and you got to be buckled up for it because it's changing fast and it's not going to wait for you. I'll tell you what. Mr. Steel Yo Kill, thank you for the 11 months. Thank you. So still playing KCD2 and well with working 40 hours every week, it's hard to make progress, LOL. I have 80 hours and I just recently made it to the second area. Love the game though. Absolutely awesome. Dude, it just keeps getting better and better. Buckle up, buckaroo. You're in for a treat. Because, man, it's just so freaking good. I can't wait for the hardcore mode. Because then I can come up with an excuse to replay the game. That's the thing. I'm waiting for the excuse to replay it. Now that I'm done with Monster Hunter. I mean, I'm going to go and I'm going to help my friends, like, fill out their parties and grind some stuff out, I'm sure. But like I've played a lot. I think my time, it's on my other Windows profile. But my time on like Monster Hunter I think is like 78 hours or something, which is a good amount of time, and I would guess after I grind with some buddies, I'll be over 100, which is a lot of time in a game, don't get me wrong. But I think at that point I'll be good to wait for the expansion because I already kind of have all the weapons and gear I want, you know. I already kind of have it. KCD and Ghost of Yotei are going to be my goaties. Yeah, we'll see Ghost of Yotei. Honestly, I really like Monster Hunter. I thought going into this year that the easy front runners for Game of the Year would, of course, be GTA 6 if it launched, Monster Hunter, and KCD 2. KCD 2 is really, really amazing and certainly my front runner for Game of the Year. Monster Hunter, I'm really frustrated with how poorly it runs, and I don't know. It left me not as like overwhelmed with its awesomeness as I was hoping for. Like, I had high expectations for it, and I had high expectations for KCD2. KCD2 met and exceeded my expectations, and I think Monster Hunter Wilds meets my expectations. Like, it's really good, but it's not much more than that, you know? I think that's the thing. It just doesn't get me as, like, giddy as KCD2. JD, I'm still playing KCD1 once I beat it. Should I jump right into KCD2 after, or should I wait for some of the upcoming DLC? I mean, part of it depends on how quickly you can go through it, but if I were you, I'd probably just jump right into it, because the game is just like one fluid thing. It picks up right where the last one leaves off. So I'd probably do that if I were you, but I'm also a big stan for KCD, and I just want to play it all day, every day. So I'm also biased, to be clear. But yeah. Anyway, thank you guys again for being here. If you're on YouTube, if you could like the stream, that works wonders for us in the algorithm. So do that, and I will love you forever. In the meantime, while you're doing that, I want to talk about the rumors of Rocksteady's next game. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. New segment. So we all know what happened with Rocksteady in the last handful of years. They released a game which just plowed into the ground catastrophically, but also quite entertainingly as well. And, you know, after Kill the Justice League released, there was this moment where everybody kind of knew what the deal was. The reviews were really bad. Previews were even really, really bad, which is never a good thing. Like, typically what you see is a game is coming out, and let's see if I can find the original preview from like IGN, Suicide Squad game preview. Yeah, here it is. January 10th, January 9th, 2024. This preview was quite negative. Like, people did not like it. IGN didn't like it. Nobody liked it. Nobody liked it. I left the preview event less optimistic than when I came in. And typically what happens at these previews is that the game, like, previews up here and then the final version is here. That's typically what happens, because you get a sliver of what are the best elements the game has to offer. Because of course, if they're going to try to sell you on a game at a preview, they're only going to show you like the best of the best stuff they have, which makes sense. I'm not saying that they should show you the worst that they have. I mean, it'd be nice to know, but it's a marketing event. Of course, they're going to try to make the game look as good as it possibly can be, or as good as it possibly can. But if it previews here, you can expect the final release will probably be somewhere in here. It's extremely rare for the preview to be here and for the game to end up being even better than the preview. Sometimes some previews are really bad and it's just weird cuts of the game and it makes you think it's going to suck, but then you play the actual game and it's like, why didn't you lead with that? That's way better. So sometimes that happens, but with Suicide Squad, previews were down here. And that's not good, because it implies that the final version, when you see everything they have to offer, it's just going to be way, way, way worse, you know? And so the game was screwed from the start. And once it finally launched, it was clear that this was just a train wreck and a disaster. So immediately, allegedly, the reporting says that Warner Brothers was not thrilled with it. They started restructuring the team a bit. So some of the people stayed on to work on the seasonal content updates that would come out throughout the rest of 2024. But other members of the team went off to work on a pitch for a new game and to help with a director's cut for Hogwarts Legacy, which we've still yet to see. That's coming at some point, probably this year, frankly. But they like, the future of Rocksteady was really unclear. Very, very unclear. A lot of people expected maybe they're just going to get shut down. Honestly, that wouldn't have surprised, I think, anybody, because a lot of the core talent that made like Batman Arkham Knight, Batman Arkham City, they left when Jamie Hill and Sefton Walker or Sefton Hill, Jimmy, I don't know, whatever their names are, the founders of Rocksteady, they left, created a new studio, brought a bunch of veterans from Rocksteady over to that studio. So a lot of the like OG guys are no longer working there. So it wouldn't be that surprising if they took a new direction and maybe just closed them down. But allegedly their pitch is nearing completion, allegedly. And there's some information. So what is this information? Well, as reported here from Push Square, this comes from a leaker that goes by the name Lunatic Ignis. Lunatic Ignis, this should tell you everything you need to know about the credibility of this report. A rumor linked to allegedly accurate leaker. What is allegedly accurate? What does that even mean? Like, either they're accurate in the past or they're not. What do you mean allegedly accurate? Like, isn't everybody on this planet allegedly accurate? Like, what? And you click on the link to the leaker, and this is apparently the same guy that leaked and claimed that Black Myth Wukong would feature 160 enemy types and 80 bosses. So, I'm allegedly correct about my suspicions. So take this with a bucket of salt, okay? I also don't know why it would be, I don't know why it would be that somebody found out about the game science, like development stuff, the inner workings of Black Myth Wukong, and then would also know about Rocksteady's next game. Maybe this is somebody within the PlayStation 5 marketing pipeline or something, because they claim to have knowledge of, Black Myth, which also allegedly has different like deals with PlayStation for exclusivity, even though that's been disputed and it's not clear what the truth is, why it's not on Xbox. But some of the devs have said it's because they can't get it running on Series S, but then other people have said that there's an exclusivity contract. So who knows what the deal is. But anyway, a rumor linked to allegedly accurate leaker Lunatic Ignis has started spreading. It follows a report from Bloomberg's Jason Schreier that developer Rocksteady is looking to return to the world of single-player Batman. Word on these lawless, unverified streets. See, I like had a PTSD flashback when I saw lawless as a word. I was like, oh God, she's back. But I think we're okay. Unverified Streets suggests that this next effort would be based on the incredibly awesome, decidedly darker Batman Beyond, adapting its narrative, but not the animated series' distinctive art style. Okay. So this report is coming from also Push Square, but they have it linked off of the Bloomberg report. So they link to this one, and this is the one that was posted. Oh my God. Hold on. Let me pull up the archive version. Please hold. There we go. This is the report that was posted on February 7th. And in this report, we went through it, but basically, if we scroll down, they outline like the Wonder Woman problems, Warner Brothers Montreal, Avalanche, and then Rocksteady. And in this article, they say that they are looking to return to Batman for a single player game. But according to people familiar with the timeline, the new project is years away from landing. So who knows whether, that actually ever sees the light of day, at all. But going back to the core thing, it says it's believed Rocksteady was roped in to work on Hogwarts Legacy after work ceased on Suicide Squad. Outside of repeated rounds of layoffs, we haven't heard word from the developer's activities in recent months. Truly conspiratorial Gothamites will recall speculation that Warner Brothers Montreal, another subsidiary of Warner Brothers Games, was rumored to be working on something similar, potentially Batman Beyond game that was ultimately canceled, with the team moving on to develop Gotham Knights. Could those idle assets be repurposed, rising out of the slaughter swamp like a vengeful Solomon Grundy? I'm thinking this article was written with like ChatGPT or Grok and told to like tie in as many campy references as possible to Batman, because like some of these are really weird. Like I'm sorry. Some of these turns of phrase are a little clunky and a little robotic. But all of this basically is just to say that one guy who alleged some stuff about Black Myth Wukong is now saying that they're working on a Batman Beyond game. And this is backed up sort of by what Jason Schreier has previously reported, which is that they're working on something single player related to Batman that's going to come years in the future. But again, there's not much more to work with than that. So we're back where we started, which is that we don't really know what they're working on, and it could be something cool. But here's my thing, okay? The Rocksteady, like when you think of Rocksteady's working on a new Batman game, you get excited because you're thinking of the Rocksteady that made Arkham Knight, that made Arkham City, that made Arkham Asylum. Some of my favorite games of all time. I love Arkham City. I love Arkham Asylum. But that studio is not this studio. Rocksteady of 2010, 2011 is gone. Like they just are. We're going on 15 years after the fact, and a lot of things have changed. In the lead up to the launch of Suicide Squad, a lot of the core devs left Rocksteady because they knew that this was a sinking ship. Even before we got close to the launch of this, a lot of people who had worked at Rocksteady before left because they were like, I don't want to work on a live service game. I'm going to go work over here or over there. And like, a studio is not the building. A studio is a collection of people and talents. It is only as good as those people. And if the people that are left are more inexperienced, that they thought Suicide Squad was a good idea, they made some of those writing choices and gameplay choices, I don't have a lot of confidence in their ability to put out an awesome Batman game. Okay, maybe they do surprise us. Maybe they nail it and absolutely kill it. Maybe, but I think that would be very, very surprising, frankly. And one of the unfortunate realities also is that Warner Brothers in the past has a bit of a history. When they start to underperform, they grow desperate and then they start flailing around like a beached whale. And I don't know if beached whales actually flop around. Like a beached octopus. If they can even be beached. I don't know, because they can technically crawl. It's beside the point. The analogy's messy. The point is, they start freaking out and doing things a little chaotically and not making the best decisions, okay? Are you calling them fat? Canceled. So I would be afraid that Warner Brothers leadership is like, oh God, the Wonder Woman game is in development hell. Oh God, Rocksteady blew their last game. What are we going to do? We need to put loot boxes in everything. We need to figure out how to maximize the monetization in everything. So the new Batman Beyond game, we'll put loot boxes in there. We're going to also, you know what? Why not? Let's try NFTs. Those are making a comeback, right? Sure. Why not? And they're just going to go crazy. That would be my fear. Because the leadership at Warner Brothers, they're, there's a technical business term for it. We learned about it in college, so forgive the obtuse definition, but the term is they're dumb and stupid, and they make really dumb decisions consistently. And so I just don't have a lot of confidence in them. So even if this looks like, ooh, that could be cool, a Batman Beyond game made by Rocksteady, just remember, it's not the same Rocksteady that we know and love. Duh. It's a different team entirely. So take it with a grain of salt. Even when you see a really cool trailer or something, remember, the team we loved is gone. And maybe this new team is capable of awesome stuff, but they definitely did not demonstrate that with Suicide Squad. So I'll believe it when I see it. Yeah. The term you're looking for is not skibbity. Oh, it's not skibbity toilet riz? Is that what it is? Oh, who knew? Let's see what else we got. What else we got? This is going to be the story, the tail of the tape with some of these stories today, because there's that leak, which is like nothing. Then there's also rumors and leaks, quote unquote, for Elder Scrolls 6, which are also just totally made up. And it's just dumb. But one of the funnier trolls that happened was this. Last, a few days ago, let's see, this was the 22nd, so Saturday. News segment. We all know how crazy GTA 6 fans can get. Like, they get into it, man. GTA 6 fans are on another level, okay? They count the stars. They analyze the constellations in the pavement in a screenshot from a different game. Like, they go balls to the walls with some of these conspiracies and ideas of what they think is actually a coded message and what could actually be happening and what could be this or that. It just gets insane. It really does start to get a little silly sometimes. But that's why sometimes it can be fun to just do a little trolling. Do a little trolling. I showed you guys this TikTok we posted a while back, where like they were looking at bullet holes on the side of a car in a piece of concept art and then using Braille to then conclude from it that the next trailer for GTA 6 would be in September of 2024. Because if you look at the Braille codings for the bullet holes on the side of the car, therefore it leads to the conclusion that it's 19, like it's crazy. Okay. But because people are a little wacky with this, it's easy to troll them. Okay. And they did that. Rockstar has confirmed on their website that GTA 6 trailer 2 will be released on February 30th. And then they posted this. Trailer 2, 9 a.m. Pacific, February 30th. Grand Theft Auto 6 heads to the state of Leonida, home to the neon-soaked streets of Vice City and beyond, in the biggest, most immersive evolution of the Grand Theft Auto series yet, coming 2025 to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S. 142,000 likes. No PC? Let's go, GTA 6. Ain't no way I actually fell for this until I looked at the replies. 3,800 likes. This actually got a good number of people. I got tagged in this like crazy. People were DMing me, especially on, funnily enough, TikTok. There were a number of TikTokers that made videos on this, blasting it out to one guy, like hundreds of thousands of followers. And this guy not once caught that there are not 30 days in February. Stunning. Stunning. Like, it's okay if you have a little, oh, I didn't look at it that closely, whatever. That's okay. We've all been there. Especially when you just like, you're scrolling your timeline. Rockstar confirmed their website GTA 6 trailer 2, and then you look down and you see the 6 and it looks vaguely real when you look at it. Oh, wow. And you just don't read it. Like there were TikTokers that were like actually spending hours on videos, putting them out before they got teased into deleting them because they fell for this, which is really, really funny. So it's maybe just a reminder that, you know what? We do a little trolling. We do a little trolling. It's a little funny. It's a little silly, a little wacky. You can have fun with it. But this is somebody like obviously trying to make fun and be silly and, you know, make fun of people for being gullible. But there's a lot of people who would have put that out with like February 27th, 28th, whatever, just to like farm engagement and views and clicks and stuff. And you can see how many people could fall for it that easily because they want it to be true and real. So it's a little insane. It's a little crazy. And it's just going to get worse. So buckle up. If you thought that the marketing cycle for like Starfield was crazy, if you thought the marketing cycle for what was another like big crazy release recently, I don't know, like any of these games, if you thought that they were a little wacky, And people were getting a little silly. Just wait. GTA 6 is going to be even more insane. So buckle up. Realistically, I have maybe 4 or 5 GTA games left before I die. Yeah, maybe 4. Maybe 4 for all of us. That's optimistic. Yeah, I know. There's rumors they're working on a brand new IP. So imagine if they get a new IP, because there was a guy that was hired at Rockstar, and he specifically put on his LinkedIn that he was working on medieval architecture and like foliage and stuff, which a lot of people were like, why would you need that if you were working on GTA 6? What? How does that make sense? Even like Red Dead 3, why would you need to work on medieval architecture? Even Bully, why would you need to work on that? Was that like 3 years ago? Yeah, it was a while back. And so the speculation was that they were working on assets for the next game, doing like pre-production work, building assets for the next game, which is going to be like a medieval knight open world game. Whether that's true or not, I kind of doubt it, just because there's been no rumors or even like trademarks or other stuff confirmed around that. But it wouldn't surprise me if they shake it up and do something different. I mean, they did 2 Red Dead games. They did now, 6 GTA games. Wouldn't surprise me if they wanted to try something different and create a new IP. And if they do that, then they would be rotating through 3 big IP, because they probably do this new IP that takes 6-7 years to put together. And then they come out and they do maybe Red Dead 3, if they choose to do that. And then they come out with GTA 7. And that would be like, what, 15 years from now? 15, 20 years from now? I'm kind of sick of medieval games right now. I mean, right now, but in 6-7 years, will you be tired of those? I don't know. Maybe not. Joel, thank you for that one. Don't have anything to say. I just wanted to show support. Thank you, Joel. Very sweet. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Red Dead Redemption 3, the prequel. Dude, what I want them to do, I know I've said like the obvious thing, which is like pirate game, but what I want them to do is to create basically a Red Dead Redemption 2 style game, but in Victorian England, set in the late 1880s. I want them to go, and it's all about this bizarre like butting of heads of the old ways and the new ways, the new technology versus the old technology. I think it could be fascinating. You do little Jack the Ripper stuff, the Thames Torso murders. You could even do sort of an LA Noire style detective game with modern tech, where it's about solving these serial killings that were happening at the same time. Because people forget, dude. People forget. Oops, I just closed something. What did I close? Oh, God. I don't know what I closed. But people forget the Thames Torso killings. These happened like at the exact same time as Jack the Ripper, okay? It was in England from 1887 to 1889. The Whitechapel murders were in the same time period, dude. November of 1888. 1887 to 1889. Like, either it was the same dude who was doing all this, or there were like 2 serial killers in London at the same time, at a time in which they really didn't have any idea of what was going on with serial killers. They had no idea. So imagine if you set a game during that time period with Rockstar's level of production quality and everything. You do sort of an LA Noire style thing, and it's about trying to solve those crimes and murders. It could be crazy good, dude. Fascinating. because they sort of did the serial killer detective thing. Team Bondi did, published by Rockstar with L.A. Noire. And, you know, they experimented. It wasn't just like be the detective that solves a serial killing. They also experimented with, like, I mean, at one point you're doing like, you know, arson, and then you're doing drug crimes. Like they did a bunch of stuff. So there's ways that they could do it to shake it up, but I think that could be really interesting. And frankly, I don't think there's a way to do a game in 1880s England without addressing those killings, because it was kind of like the biggest thing at that time period. So you kind of have to address it. But yeah, I think that'd be crazy. Bro, a Peaky Blinders game? Don't get my hopes up, dude. That'd be killer. That'd be so good. They could afford to get actually get Cillian Murphy in it if they wanted to. Imagine if they did that, the melding of universes. Wouldn't that be crazy good? Oh my God. Bourbon Keto, thank you for the sub on Prime. Thank you, or with Prime on Twitch. Thank you, my friend. Mount Chiliad mystery, but players try to solve Jack the Ripper killings. Dude, there's so much they could do. Imitoshi Singh, thank you for the 5. Do you think game dev should focus more on making a game first and business about it later? If your game is good, it's going to do great business, i.e. KCD2. Unfortunately, I don't think you can separate the two. Because ultimately, the only way you can make games is if people are buying them. And these games are so expensive that, you know, I believe, you know, creating video games is a beautiful melding of technology, engineering, and then art. And typically you would hope that art would just happen. Like art is just something that you do, and it's created to reflect the times and the zeitgeist and things. And it's independent of the pay and the money that comes along with it. But unfortunately, that, like, even throughout history, that hasn't really been the case. Even like you go to the Sistine Chapel and you look up at the beautiful paintings and everything, and it's like, wow, that's beautiful, real art. And it's like, well, it was commissioned by, like, you know, one of the most powerful, wealthy institutions in the history of humanity. So it wasn't really this like free form artistic thing done just for the sake of itself. Most art is a melding of financial influence and then also the artistic influence. And it's just kind of how it works, unfortunately. So I don't think, you know, in an ideal world, yeah, make video games and just make the best game you can and don't be concerned with money. But unfortunately nowadays, and just in the real world, I think you have to consider it. There's no way to ignore it. New studio looks good. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Let's talk about this now. New segment. So we mentioned this briefly previously when Avowed launched, but people forget Avowed was at one time a live service, like multiplayer co-op game, which is crazy because it didn't end up that way. But this is what's so fascinating about this moment in the industry is that we've had now Avowed, but we also previously had Veilguard, Dragon Age Veilguard, which also started as a multiplayer game. So there's like 2 of these RPGs that started life as multiplayer co-op games. And then at some point they decided against that and went a different direction. And there's little remnants and tidbits where you can feel that remain. Like I think in Avowed, some of the stuff with companions, for example, I believe the camp that you go to constantly feels super hollow. And I think it's because it originally was going to be where you like matchmake and where you select quests. And I think it was going to be way more important. But in the final version, it's just kind of an afterthought. But, you know, Veilguard had many other issues separate to this that, you know, were remnants of its live service beginnings. But it's always fascinating to me that these things tend to come in pairs, or like when it rains, it pours. When one live service game is greenlit, 15 others are also greenlit. And it just so happens that both of these, made by separate teams, owned by separate companies, ended up sort of figuring out their own path, you know, to different levels of success probably. But it's very interesting to see how it's kind of ended up. In a recent interview with Bloomberg, Avowed director Carrie Patel shed some more light on what seems to have been a challenging development cycle for the venerable RPG studio. Not only was Avowed initially supposed to be a seamless open world, it was going to have a co-op or even live service multiplayer component, and had to be rebooted after 2 years of pre-production. The end result is pretty fantastic though, and DLCs or even a full sequel already seem to be on the table. According to Bloomberg, development on Avowed began in 2018. 2018! What else was going on in 2018? Remember the 2018 era? Everybody wanted to be acquired. Everybody wanted to be bought out. And how do you make yourself appealing? How do you make yourself appealing to somebody who's going to come in and buy you? Well, you've got to show them that you're able to print money. You got to show them that you've got stuff that's going to make a lot of money. And in 2018, how do you do that? Launch a multiplayer game. Greenlight a Redfall. Greenlight in Avowed. A Dragon Age Veilguard. Greenlit around the same time. Greenlight something like Concord. Greenlit right about the same time as well. Or even release something in that same era, like a Fallout 76, which also was greenlit specifically, it seems, to make ZeniMax and Bethesda look more appealing to Xbox because they had a live service offering around Fallout, their biggest IP, so that they would eventually be acquired by, like, for billions. So it's, it's no surprise, frankly, but it is interesting that right around the same time period, all of these different games started to get greenlit by these different institutions that were trying to make themselves appealing for a big Microsoft buyout, probably. But they go on. This was, of course, before Obsidian was acquired by Microsoft, and an initial multiplayer-centric pitch for the game was shopped around to potential buyers. We'd previously heard that Avowed was at one point supposed to be Obsidian's Skyrim, but this is the first we've heard about a co-op multiplayer angle from the RPG, which Bloomberg compared to Destiny. Destiny co-op Avowed seems like a choice. That seems to have been cut by the time Avowed's summer 2020 cinematic teaser, but the development was still a quagmire. At the start of 2021, Avowed's leadership team was replaced, with Pillars of Eternity and Outer Worlds veteran Patel taking over as director. Under Patel's leadership, Avowed was further rescoped to its final open zone design instead of a single seamless open world. Even with Avowed's reboot in 2021, the game still struggled with having to sustain a full team's production duties without having outlined its new direction in a full pre-production period, a process Patel likened to, quote, building the tracks while the train was moving forward. A similar jump into full production with no pre-production phase was one of the largest hurdles faced by Disco Elysium's canceled expansion pack codenamed X7. True. Disco Elysium's story is an absolute dumpster fire, though. If you want to ever see just one of the most tragic stories of mismanagement and scandal, I forget who made it, but there's a documentary on YouTube. If anybody in chat remembers who made it, but there's a really good documentary where somebody went in and like interviewed some of the big movers and shakers between the divide where the company split apart. It's crazy, dude. The whole thing is just a dumpster fire disaster. It's really unfortunate, but anyway. People Make Games. Oh, yes, I think that's it. That sounds right, Aram. I think you're right. People Make Game, and it's Disco Elysium. So look that up. People Make Games, Disco Elysium. Fantastic documentary. Highly recommend it. Continuing on, but even after all that, Avowed released to critical praise and initial sales figures Obsidian is reportedly satisfied with. Patel hinted that more is likely on the way in the interview, saying, quote, now that we've built this wonderful world and also built this team strength and muscle memory around the content and gameplay in this world, I love to see us do more with it. Patel expressed a similarly positive outlook on DLC in a pre-launch interview with MinMax. Quote, I'm struck by how many parallels there are between Avowed and Redfall, which similarly came from a beloved single-player studio and started a troubled development prior to its company's acquisition by Microsoft. In Bloomberg's Redfall post-mortem, Arcane Austin employees alleged that they had hoped that Microsoft would step in to cancel or reboot Redfall, but that never happened. And in Obsidian's case with Avowed, the intervention came from the studio's internal leadership. But this is what's kind of funny, is Microsoft allegedly didn't want to step in and cancel Redfall because they wanted to encourage the teams to behave as if Microsoft wasn't even there. They're like, we bought out your studio, so now you're financially comfortable, but now you guys just make the great games you wanted to make already. We're not going to mess with you. They didn't realize that what they were making they didn't want to make, but oops. So they never canceled Redfall, and they apparently weren't that involved with it. There was even a story where Phil Spencer said that their internal reviews for Redfall were significantly higher than the final review scores were, which is also really interesting, that they were doing internal reviews that were quite positive and the final reviews were atrocious. So it's really bizarre, that whole debacle. But I think the lesson from that, at least for them, should have been not to listen to like the most hardcore diehard fanboys who were glazing the game saying Redfall was gonna be the next future monster release from Xbox. Instead, they should listen to people who are more critical and not just trying to like blow smoke up their butts. That being said, this whole era is fascinating to me. Quote, Obsidian was in a better position to make a tough call like that, though. Arcane Austin seems to have bet the farm on Redfall with nothing else in active development, and Microsoft treating the similarly venerable Leon branch as a separate concern. Obsidian, meanwhile, has become a uniquely prolific multi-project studio, which also had Pentiment, Grounded, and Outer Worlds 2 cooking at the same time. That's going to be a grand total of 4 releases in 5 years by the end of 2025, practically unheard of in today's environment of ballooning development times. That lessened the need for Avowed to make it to market come hell or high water and be a smash hit for the studio to survive. Obsidian could afford to reassess and reboot the project, an example of the studio's ambitious 100-year plan in action. I think Obsidian actually at this point is one of the most impressively, like, I don't know, maybe it's just, they're able to manage scope really well. And that's been a thing that very few studios are able to do in the 2020 era, where you have a ton of games that are coming out that cost $300 million and will literally never be able to break even. And, you know, a game like Pentiment is not for everybody. A game like Grounded is not for everybody. Even, you know, Avowed is not for everybody. But because they are not making these games into these massive behemoth AAA things, they can afford to have it perform a little less. Like if Avowed cost them $200-300 million to make and they spent another $100 million on marketing, yeah, it wouldn't work. It would not turn profit. Like there's just no way that could work. But because they keep things tighter in scope, it can work. For Pentiment, it's like a very niche, very specific thing that they were trying to do that's very abnormal and different. But because of that, it ends up being phenomenal and great. And Pentiment's a game that would not exist really at any other studio. I mean, if that's not a game you would get from anybody or anywhere else. And I think they do deserve credit for that. Does that mean that Obsidian is putting out the best games of the year? No. But I think that's the point, is they're not trying to. They're not trying to put out the game of the year contenders, which pretty much have to be AAA games. There's some exceptions, you know, Balatro, where sometimes you take the world by storm and you get nominated. But ultimately, Obsidian's not trying to compete with the big AAA heavy hitters. They're just not. And it's worked out pretty well for them. And in turn, we've also seen them put out, as they say there, 4 games in 5 years if they nail this. That's crazy. There's teams out there right now who have not released anything in close to a decade. And they're still working on something. Like Monolith, their last game was in 2017. Their last game was frickin' Shadow of War. And apparently the Wonder Woman game is in a disastrous state and like is still years out. Sony Bend, yeah, that's 2019. And nothing since then. Naughty Dog, 2020. Well, I guess they've done spin-offs, remakes, remasters, but like big AAA, like main releases, they haven't done anything since then. I mean, that's wild. That's wild. You know, with something like, you could say Rockstar, but it's also like their Rockstar. You know, 2018 was their last main release, but they've also done all the online stuff for GTA Online and everything, as you would expect. So this is one thing that they've got to figure out in this industry, is how to get stuff out faster. What Obsidian's been able to do is they've been able to just tighten the scope. Initially, they were going to make it a big live service thing, co-op, multiplayer, whatever the crap, with a fully open world. And then they realized, nope, we're going to tighten it up, make it smaller, make it a little bit more reasonable. And they were able to put it out, and it seemingly has found some success. There's even reports that Microsoft is reportedly happy with Avowed sales so far. Not sure what so far, how much weight that's carrying. But it does seem to have sold decently well, and it's seeing good player numbers on Xbox Game Pass. It's seeing, you know, a decent reception, so it seems to be doing exactly what they were hoping it would do. And I'm sure that they're going to greenlight another release of some sort for the IP and for the team. So Obsidian's managed to find a way to get games out faster by tightening scope, and therefore the budget is lower. Boom. And there's ways that other teams could do it, but it's basically you get more work out of your team, you shorten the dev cycle, or I guess you just go smaller in scope, and therefore tighter budgets. And that's how you can have a smaller budget and you can have tighter dev cycles and stuff like that. Obsidian tightened the scope, didn't need as much money, so it works. For something like some of these other massive projects that they're working on, I don't know if there's an easy solution. What they are banking on is what Satya Nadella was even talking about last week, which was this new AI tool, Muse, that they want. He says, Xbox, quote, will have a catalog of games soon that will start using these AI models. He says, we're going to train these models to generate and then start playing them. In fact, when Phil Spencer first showed it to me, he had an Xbox controller, and this model basically took the input generated and the output based on the input, and it was consistent with the game. That to me is a massive moment of wow. It's kind of like the first moment we saw ChatGPT complete sentences, or DALL-E draw, or Sora. This is one such moment. In other words, they want to use these AI models to like just build the games and save a ton of time and money. Actman had quite the, I think, a reaction most gamers had, which I think is probably fair. So time will tell. Time will tell how this actually pans out. But all these big executives, they're all trying to find ways to cut corners. They're all trying to find ways to tighten the scope and budgets and to put these things out faster and cheaper. And whether it works or not, time will tell. But my expectation is that we're going to get a handful of these AI-inspired games in like 3-4 years. Maybe even faster. Maybe in the next like year and a half, 2 years. And some of them are going to be so hilariously awful. It's going to be Forspoken dialogue on crack. I mean, it's going to be unbelievable that anybody put this out. And we're going to make fun of it. And it's going to be really stupid and really funny and cringe. And then they'll get better, and they'll get better, and they'll get better. And eventually, maybe the tools do get to the point where you can't really tell the difference. But I do fully expect that, especially in the short term, the first few iterations of this are going to be cringe as hell. But I think what they're banking on is that the average consumer isn't able to tell. And they might not be wrong, unfortunately. Like, if the average consumer can't tell the difference between an AI generated piece of concept art or you know, like in Call of Duty where they have some skins or they have some stuff that's been built by AI. If the average consumer can't tell the difference, like they don't care what you and I think. Like we're the diehards, but we're not spending like 96% of all the money in these games. 96 of all the money in these games is coming from the casual crowd that's not watching YouTubers, not watching streamers. They just are booting up Call of Duty when they get off work at the end of the day. And that's all they really are concerned with trying to pass the smell test with. That's all they really care about. They just need to get it past the casual crowd and then they consider it to be good enough. And I think we're probably going to start to see this stuff really creep up in the next year or two as these AI tools become more prevalent. Like if they're just wanting to use ChatGPT to summarize emails so they don't have to read through the memos that executives send them, I don't think any of us will throw a fit over that. It's when you start to use AI tools to replace the artistic elements within the game, the human component, that's when stuff starts to really crumble. And I think that we're only going to start to see that in the next like year or two. Can't be much worse than what we have today. Just you wait. Just wait. I have a feeling there's going to be some really funny and really kind of insanely cringe stuff that's just AI dialogue on crack. So buckle up. Oh, okay. Let's talk about this. Lonely Fates, have you seen the Black Panther game news? No. Oh, was it something about like a playable character or something? Is this it? Published 2 hours ago. Ghost of Hope. Okay. Is this it? Is this what you're talking about? New segment from Game Rant. If one rumor is true, EA's Black Panther will have to avoid one Hogwarts Legacy mistake. After a couple of years, EA and Cliffhanger Games' Black Panther game is still being kept under wraps. Having been announced in 2023, this Black Panther title will be Cliffhanger Games' inaugural project and features talent like Kevin Stevens, not related to me, unfortunately, from Monolith Productions of Shadow of Mordor fame. Besides the game still being in production and using what EA claims is new technology, that's been it for this Marvel adaptation, or adaptation. I read it right the first time. I can't read. Cloaking it in a veil of mystery that's fitting for Black Panther. Given industry trends, it may not have anything to announce in 2025, but that's only going to encourage the rumor mill. Industry insider and ex-user The Ghost of Hope shared several alleged details about the upcoming Black Panther game, including its emphasis on player choice impacting gameplay and narrative, some of the familiar Black Panther characters that would appear, and the setting this game was going for. It mostly sounds in line with MCU's portrayal of Black Panther, even if the mention of Azari, the rarely seen son of T'Challa and Storm, raises some eyebrows. Picking from several different Black Panthers and influences the story seem like the main selling points, but that setup can't underdeliver like other modern licensed games. So did they really just like not link the post from Ghost of Hope? Okay, I'm just gonna pull it up myself. At Ghost of Hope. I don't see it. Did I go past it? No. Dropping something big in 2 minutes. I'm guessing that was the Black Panther thing. Unless it's that. Where's the Black Panther leak? Looks called to accepted. Okay. Here it is. Exclusive details on the Black Panther game from Cliffhanger Games. You choose the next Black Panther. Includes characters like T'Challa, M'Baku, Azari, Shuri, Killmonger, and more. Intends to replicate authentic African martial arts mixed up with superhuman strength, agility, and tech. Over-the-shoulder POV, weapons, armor, gadgets are unique to each Black Panther. Explore cities, savannas, and more that let you encounter unique cultures and characters. Story reacts to your choices and actions with unique stories, missions, and dynamics. Okay. It sounds, I don't know. So you choose your own character, and then it has a story that reacts to your choices and actions with unique stories, missions, and dynamics. So is it just like an RPG, or is it something a little bit more involved than that? It has talent from Monolith, so there's an opportunity and a chance that it could be really unique and cool. It let you encounter unique cultures and characters in different areas. Okay, that's true of pretty much every game. Whenever I see these leaks, I try to think, like, what are they saying that actually means anything or is unique? Because in some of these, like, they're totally unremarkable. Like, you know, explore cities and savannas and more that let you encounter unique cultures and characters. That you could say is true also of Avowed, where it's like you explore different cities, towns, villages, and areas and more that let you encounter unique cultures and characters. That's true of most games that have large settings. So that doesn't really mean anything. Having something like weapons, armor, and gadgets unique to each playable character, that's interesting. It makes me wonder, are you selecting which character you want to play through the entire game with, or are you selecting like per mission? You know, like I'm not sure what that means. If you're building out like all the, I'm not sure what that would look like. It intends to replicate African martial arts mixed with superhuman strength, agility, and tech. Okay, so I mean, it's going to be punching and hitting people as you would expect with a Black Panther game. Includes characters and you get to choose them. So like there's not really much, it's not really a lot to go with, frankly, from all of this. Their takeaway in the rest of this article is, let's see, it's trying something like the house system, but it already sounds more ambitious. Multiple characters can assume the role of Black Panther. M'Baku and Killmonger are traditionally Black Panther villains, so it's unclear if this is the playable lineup or characters that Black Panther fans would likely recognize. Regardless, each Black Panther option comes with unique gameplay opportunities, and the game's narrative sounds very reactive to player choices. Presumably, the first of those choices is which of these distinct Black Panther characters actually gets the title. Okay. Yeah, unique missions are specifically called out as some of the things that can change based on player actions, which sounds promising, assuming this feature actually makes it to the final Black Panther game as advertised. However, it can't afford to be worse than it sounds. Several dedicated branches and missions exclusive to each Black Panther would give the game huge replay value, even if it means the game's main story will need to be shorter than many of its AAA peers. If EA and Cliffhanger Games' Black Panther title aims to make choices matter, it at least needs to make its different protagonists feel like they're having their own adventures. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure if there's enough to work with here. I mean, it's really, really vague. And it's also like some of this stuff can get cut and changed so quickly. Gotham Knights energy. I mean, that might honestly be kind of the style of this, or it could be something even cooler and more unique where it really is like Detroit Become Human, but there's like multiple playable characters you're going through sequences with, and then they each have their own branching narrative, and depending on how you choose to play, some of them can be killed or left behind at different times. So there's all sorts of different ways that it could go, but it's very vague based on this. Limit Break saying for the 2, my wife was crushed by the Shire delay like Jor. Of course, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Jor is still in grieving over that. Mercurial Funk, thank you for the 5. Mr. Video Game Journalist Man, do you know if the KOTOR remake remaster is still happening or is it dead in the water? How dare you? How dare you suggests that I'm a video game journalist. Do I know if it's still happening? I know somebody out there is working on it, but whether it's dead in the water, I don't know. It's out there. Somebody's working on it, but I have no idea if we'll ever see it. It's kind of like the frickin' Beyond Good and Evil 2. It's out there somewhere, but I have no idea if it's ever going to like actually release or if it's going to be canceled or what. I have no idea. And then Jonah, thank you for the 5. Hi, Luke. Will you play Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon? It's frequently described as indie Skyrim. Yeah, I think we've looked at it a few times on stream. I'm interested in it, so I'm going to keep an eye on it because it does seem fairly interesting. As for like when I'll have time to jump into it, I'm not certain. But my buddy was talking about it because I just Googled it. It released on March 30th of 23. My buddy is from college, is really into it. He's put some time into it, but only recently did he get into it. Like the early access variant, because I don't think the full release is out. But I don't know. All that to say, I don't know. It might be something I tackle when it finally, like the final release version hits, or I'm not sure. I'm sorry I don't have a more firm answer. I'm sorry. New Lies of P trailer's out. Oh, baby. Hold on. Where is it? Lies of P. Let's see it. Okay. Lies of P new segment. Lies of P DLC trailer. Okay. Are you ready? Luke, please see this comment. I have $17 worth of super chats to you that should be going through on Friday. I'm just limited on funds right now. Oh, you're good. You don't have to super chat. I'm not sure what you're asking. So you see this message. I do see this message. I'm not sure what else you're asking about. But anyway, let's see. You ready? Let's do it. Oh, I guess I should lead in so Jacob actually can cut this. New segment. New trailer for Lies of P Overture, the DLC coming to the game. It's out. It's here. I've not seen it. Let's watch it together. Buckle up, buckaroo. Snow? Enough.
Listening to this song always reminds me of you. But now you belong to the past.
Jesus.
Do you remember the time we all gathered to play this piece together? I never got to say farewell. someday, if we can cross the bounds of time, we'll meet again.
I mean, I love the music, first of all. I mean, you'd expect it being called Overture, that the music's probably going to be pretty solid. Very different tone than I was expecting. Very different tone. It's also, I mean, I think at this point they know that you're aware that it's a combat focused game. It's all about the gameplay. And so they can take a little breather with a trailer like this and focus more on the narrative and slowly build it. I was trying to see if there's any like snippets of like crazy bosses and stuff based just on this, but you don't really have the chance to see much. You see this guy, but that's about it. But it does make me wonder, like, what's the dynamic with this other character? How's that going to work? They say inspired by the familiar story of Pinocchio, Lies of P is an action Souls-like game. Yeah, it's just, that's a generic description. Nothing too specific. But maybe you're just working through this palace, whatever this would be. University, asylum. I don't know what it is. But I mean, it looks very pretty. Not the best trailer, I don't think. I like the big, crazy, bombastic stuff more, but I love the music and I can appreciate that. This says the Monad Charity House. That's what this comment says. Monad Charity House. It's known by its nickname, the Rose Estate. Originally, we were a charity organization for poor children, but today the Monad family sponsored we become a boarding school. And this is tied to... Oh. Okay. It's found on the couch within the Red Lobster Inn. And it refers to the Rose Estate. Children can get stock or workshop technician, alchemist education. For more details on the sponsorship, please contact the charity house manager. Okay. So that's what they're doing here. Okay. I'm tracking. That's interesting. There's a lot of cool stuff they could do narratively with that. Monad Charity House. Interesting. Yeah, this is another one of those examples of a studio that 5 years ago was on nobody's radar really, and now they're just like swinging with some massive punches that, I mean, I freaking love Lies of P. Cannot wait. I need it in my life now. Let's see. Infinity Project, thank you for the 5. Hey Luke, on my way to Austin, Texas. Never been. Any suggestions? Let me know. Get some of the barbecue, dude. It's fantastic. There's also a really baller park in like downtown that's very nice. It has like the webbed nets and stuff. It's like 30 feet high. It's awesome. And just be prepared for everything to be really expensive. Austin is where a lot of like the money from California and New York has flooded. Like all the Joe Rogans, all the Tesla engineers, they've all moved to Austin. So just be ready for it to be stupid expensive. Really expensive. Buckle up. Because it is. I think we went out to one dinner where we got barbecue, and no joke, for like 2 of us, it was like over $100. It was like $115 for some barbecue. It was good barbecue, don't get me wrong, but it was like real expensive. So just buckle up for that. Let's see. Limit Breaks, thank you for that one. By the way, did your cats get a new space to hang out? Thanks. Yes, they do have. I've tried to let them down here. Finley started chewing cables while I was filming some videos the other day, so he got evicted. But Hermione's been doing better. She just, again, likes to lay on the keyboards, which makes it kind of tough to have her down here during streams. I've tried to put beds behind me, like beds back there, and let them lay there, but they just don't want to. they're like, no, I'm the star of the show now. But they have the whole house that they get to run around in. They go outside and play. So yeah, they've got stuff to do. OS, thank you for that. Hi, Luke. Have you seen or have you played the Monster Hunter Wilds on PS5? How's the performance? I've seen a lot of other reviewers say there's less monsters in this game than Worlds at launch. What's your thoughts? I'm limited in what I can say because I'm not allowed to describe the end game or anything after a certain point in Chapter 2. So I'm not allowed to describe some of that because of spoilers. Because there are some new things that they don't want people to find out until they play it, which I think is fair. As for performance on PS5, I really don't know. I've not played it on PS5. I don't know how it runs. I played it on PC, on my big PC, on a gaming laptop, and then on my ROG Ally. As for monster variation and types, in broad strokes, like there's some familiar ones that you're going to see and be like, oh yeah, I've seen this before. I've fought this before. And so there's some of that, which is typical in Monster Hunter. It's not always, it's never been just new stuff. And then there are some new ones that have been introduced, but my biggest takeaway and the biggest surprise for me was just that the game felt way easier than previous releases. And I don't really know why. Like, my average time for hunts is under 15 minutes. Normally in Monster Hunter, because I suck, I'm like right up against the 30, 40, 50 minute time limit for whatever mission it is. Typically, I'm like, I might fail one of the really tough hunts once or twice, and I get down 3 times. Sometimes that happens. With this game, I have not failed a single mission. It's just, it feels way easier. It feels way easier. Is there a difficulty selection? No. Maybe I got better. That's what my buddy was saying. He was like, maybe you're just better. I don't know. Maybe I got good. I don't know. But I think other people have mentioned also that it felt easier. Okay. Let's do this. But thank you for the super chat. That's very generous. And then Blake, have you seen the trailer for the Yasuke simulator? Oh, do you mean, is that a new meme for AC Shadows, Yasuke simulator? I don't really understand what the joke is, but it's been making the rounds and it looks absolutely ridiculous. Yasuke simulator. Oh, is that like an actual game? Am I going to get put on a list if I Google this? Is this just bait? I don't know. Looking it up. I mean, the YouTube channels that are making videos on it are not channels I would typically watch. Is there... Okay. History accurate developers step into 1579 as Yasuke, the African samurai, and join Oda Nobunaga in his quest to unite Japan, master precise katana combat, uncover secret gear, and unleash your ancestral power in this historically inspired action-packed journey through feudal Japan.
For the Takeda clan.
Yasuke, you will help me unify Japan. Go now to the streets. Fight your way up to Takatenjin Castle, controlled by the Takeda clan.
Foreigner.
The part where he pulls out a machine gun is, I wasn't ready for that. That's funny. So it's a little funny. Okay, I get the joke now. I get the joke now. I thought you were just saying that like you were calling AC Shadows Yasuke Simulator. I was like, I mean, I guess because you play as Yasuke and it simulates. I was like confused what you were talking about. But that okay, that's a little funny. That's I get what they mean when they're like, yeah, we're a historically accurate developer. Also, here's a machine gun in a car. Oh, that's funny. Let's see. Where was I? Jerry, think of the 5. What would you say is your favorite weapon in Monster Hunter, and why is it gun lance? I tend to be a longsword player. I've also had fun with great swords, dual blades, that type of thing. I've never really had fun with the ranged stuff. It's just never really been my cup of tea, unfortunately. I've tried them, but I've just never been like, ooh, yeah, I want to keep playing with this. I like the melee stuff. I like getting up close. But I do know some people that play gun lance and they go hard. Imatohei Singh, thank you for the 10. Very generous. Luke, my brother's turning 15 next month and I can't choose between Disneyland and Universal to go to. Can you help me with choosing since you've been to both? To be clear, I have not yet been to Disney. So my experience is limited, but we're going to be taking the boys to Disney World soon. As for what I would recommend based on my understanding of the two parks, I'd probably recommend Universal in Orlando. Well, I guess it depends. If you're going to it in California, Disneyland or Universal Los Angeles, that is tricky, but I would still go with Universal, I think. Universal in general, the rule of thumb is like Universal is better for teens and adults, whereas Disney's better for kids if you have kids. There's just not as much to do if you're an adult at Disney, whereas Universal, they have a lot more thrill-based rides. Never been to Disney? What kind of American are you? See, I've not been. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why I wasn't on Disney's approved list for Indiana Jones, because I got told the reason we didn't get to review that was because we were not on Disney's approved list of influencers, which is funny. But as a Floridian, Universal over Disney. Well, that's the thing. If you're going to Florida, I still think Universal, especially they're doing a new park, a whole new like Universal Epic Universe. So I still think going to Universal would make more sense, but that's just me. That's just me. Let's see. Disneyland is very gouged with their prices right now, and they're trying to screw over a lot of their customers with bogus deals for the parks. Well, at least in Florida, they're also freaking out because of Epic Universe. Like, they kind of got caught with their pants down with that one. They knew it was happening for years, didn't do anything about it, and then they just realized that they have nothing to really compete with it. Like, Universal's just casually opening a new multi-billion-dollar park. And Disney's like, oh, well, we have a new type of pretzel. Like, it's just so stupid in comparison. So I would recommend Universal probably. Let's see. Let's talk about this real quick. News segment. Also, shout out Bourbon. I think I already called that out, but Bourbon Keto, either way, thank you again for this sub with Prime over on Twitch. Thank you. Did I notice the release date? Oh, for Yasuke Simulator? I closed it already. I did not. When did it say it was releasing? I didn't see. It's probably some reference. I'd have to Google. Anyway, let's talk about this. News segment. So, just when you thought AC Shadows had maybe burned through all of its bad luck and bad karma, whatever, just when you thought like it couldn't get worse for them, and surely they're going to finally catch a break after just a year plus of just horrible PR and just kind of disastrous marketing. It was reported last night. People started talking about how physical copies of AC Shadows were going out and some people had gotten them. which is weird. As Zishan mentioned, game hasn't even gone gold yet, so there can't be discs yet. And then some people started posting these pictures of physical copies that they were selling online, which could be faked. I mean, you can fake physical copies relatively easily. But it's weird. It's weird. And so I kind of put a pin in it. I was like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening there. But then Tom Henderson on Insider Gaming reports on it and says gameplay is being leaked online as early copies are already in players' hands. Bear in mind, the game doesn't come out for a month. March 20th. It is February 24th. And allegedly there's already people with copies of the game just like streaming it. Early physical copies of AC Shadows have already found their way into players' hands, resulting in early gameplay of the game being streamed and uploaded online. According to X, formerly Twitter, user Danny Stevens, copies of the game are obtainable via Facebook Marketplace. Insider Gaming were unable to find any copies on Facebook's UK Marketplace. Stevens' claims were backed up with pictures of the game's case, the install screen, several gameplay photos. These images have since been deleted. And he went on full lockdown. Full lockdown. Okay. I wonder, did anybody like archive his page? I don't know. I don't know. I don't see. Let's see. No. Nobody backed it up that I'm seeing. So it seems to be gone. It seems to be gone, whatever was there, unless somebody echoed it or copied it elsewhere. But they continue. After searching for the game online further, it seems that Ubisoft is aware of the situation and is currently DMCA striking a lot of the content posted online. Inevitably, though, some gameplay and images will fall through the cracks, so be aware if you're sensitive to spoilers. And this is why I'm mentioning this, because if you are somebody that's been waiting to play Shadows and you don't want to be spoiled, be aware that when somebody comes in and like posts a video saying, hey, early AC Shadows gameplay, it very well could be real. Okay. So just don't click on it if you're not wanting to see that. Like just don't, because it does appear that copies of the game are somehow out there. It's unclear on why copies of the game have started to be sold at such an early stage, as typically physical copies begin to leak 2 to 3 days before launch. AC Shadows was delayed twice, including a recent delay that moved the game from its February 14th release to March 20th. So it's possible that the game had already been printed en masse. It was said that the second delay was needed to give the game, quote, additional weeks to implement changes based on feedback received from players during testing. Mark Alexis Cotier said, quote, since November, we've been thrilled to share our progress through gameplay overviews, and the overwhelming excitement has truly inspired us. Quote, each week has brought valuable feedback from our community. While we've already made remarkable strides, we believe a few additional weeks are needed to implement the feedback and ensure an even more ambitious and engaging day one experience. So here's the deal. I've not seen the gameplay. I've not seen the leaks or anything. I cannot for myself confirm that it's happening. If this were just fake and made up, I would guess you would not be seeing people like nuking their Twitter pages. I would guess that you would not be seeing Ubisoft sending out DMCA takedowns on stuff. That would just be my guess, is if it was not real, there would be no need for any of this. It's like those fake like GTA 6 gameplay videos, which are clearly just like AI generated videos. They don't get copyright struck because they're not real, you know? But with this, they're taking stuff down, which would suggest that maybe it is real. And even though it's relatively easy to copy or to rather fake, you know, physical copies of games and stuff to make it look like you have a physical copy of something when you don't, it's still just stunning to see them dealing with this when they just cannot catch a break with any of this. And honestly, like when you look at it, I would say of this, it's one of the more convincing fakes if I had to try to guess with it. I mean, it's well done if it's a fake, frankly. It does seem to be well done. But there's people saying it's real. You can see the menus and installation. Well, that's part of it, is the menus also potentially would have been seen as part of the preview event. So that could also just be taken from there, or could have been leaked or whatever else, because we got to see the menu. But I don't know, man. The installation, if they could show like real-time installation through PlayStation, that'd be one thing, but I don't know how they do this. Do any of you guys know if PlayStation has like a process where they can brick consoles that are playing stolen copies of games or unreleased games? Because maybe that's how they deal with this, is that they just like brick your console if you try to play this before launch. Maybe that's what they do. I don't know. You'd think that they would have something like that, because even like some games have their anti-cheat able to lock hardware-based accounts out. So like if you cheat in, I think it was Valorant, they're able to identify your specific GPU and ban that GPU from the game, which is a little crazy, but apparently they can do that. So in theory, I think they could do something like that remote, but yeah, it's not Sony's problem. Well, it's ultimately, sure, you can be like, oh, well, it's not Sony's problem, they didn't do it. It's still a product on their marketplace that's leaked early. And so if they just want to like lock it down, hey, you can't play AC Shadows on the PlayStation 5, I wouldn't be surprised if they would just lock it down. You know. Players could plug out their internet cable. Well, so many games nowadays require an internet connection to register the license to your console. And in theory, you could just like jailbreak your console and you could do stuff like that, which is technically possible, which is why ultimately if somebody wants to leak the game, like they're going to do it. If they have the know-how at least. But man. Alejandro, thank you for the 5. Replaying AC Odyssey before Shadows release. I forgot how pretty and fun the game was. It's making me hopeful, not hyped for Shadows. Yeah, Odyssey. I love me some Odyssey, man. I love me some Odyssey. I don't blame people if they don't like it, but I like me some Odyssey, I'll tell you what. PS5 modding. There's not really PS5 modding. There's PS5 jailbreaking, where you just like once you do that though, you've opened Pandora's box and there's no going back. So it's not for an average person to do. I'm sure Shadows requires an online connection. Yeah, to play you would think, but like allegedly people are able to install it and play it. Let's see. I'm not going to show it on my screen, but I'm looking at something here of what's claimed to be the leaked footage of the stolen copy. Let's see. Again, I'm not going to show it to you, because there is something that we saw during the preview event that was not made public, and I'm wondering if any of that is going to be here. Oh no. Yeah, I think it's real. Yeah, I think it's real. Wow. Okay. Well. Oh no. That's even more remarkable. I don't know how on earth that could possibly happen, but wow. Okay, so that's crazy. That's crazy. Wow. Okay. So somehow somebody got their hands on it and it's leaking about. If it's fake, it's one of the best fakes I've ever seen. So considering the game was supposed to release like February 14th, and it sounded like the people, when it was delayed from February to March, some of the dev team didn't even know that it was leaking or that it was being delayed. That suggests to me that maybe it wasn't clearly communicated to the supply chain people. Copies of the games were already shipped out and are sitting in warehouses since February 14th. And somebody was able to like steal copies of the game from those warehouses and are now selling them online. That's insane. I find it really ironic there's a buyer protection fee. You're buying a stolen game and you're going to buy buyer protection on it. That makes sense. Wow. That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. I cannot believe that. Because when we opened this up, I was like, yeah, it could be just a really good fake. But after seeing some of the other stuff, I don't think that's fake, my friends. I don't think that's fake. At this point, can we still call it leaks, or is it just considered pouring? That's good. I like that. That's funny. That's freaking funny. Vincent, what are you doing? Vincent, Jesus Christ almighty. Vincent just selected the no one should choose this tier of membership on YouTube. That's insane. That's a Vincent W through and through, my friends. Crazy generous, Vincent. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's wild. That's crazy. Isn't on Reddit. Can't find it. I'm not going to tell you where to find it for obvious reasons. But I think it's real. So, yeah. I can't believe that. That's insane. That's insane. Yeah, OnlyFans access unlocked. You just became a no one should choose this tier member. That gets 5 booms and access to my OnlyFans. Boom, boom, boom. Oh man. Okay, palette cleanser. Synth just posted this. This looks funny. If you try to strangle a woman in K-City 2 and then explain it to the guards, Henry will say he thought the women liked it.
Attempted strangling will cost you. You'll either pay in groschen, or your back will feel the cane.
Wait, I'll explain everything. I just wanted to hug her. To surprise her from behind. Women love that, I've heard.
What? Really?
Yeah. What? Only she was startled, which startled me. And it ended up how it ended up.
He says, drunk off his ass and covered in blood.
Christ. All right. We'll let it go this time. But no more funny stuff with strange women.
Dude, Kingdom Come is so freaking good. I tried to surprise her from behind. I thought women like that. It's insane, dude. The game is so crazy. I love it so much. It's so wild. Oh man. Let's see. And he got away with it. Yeah, he passed the check, dude. He passed the check. Vincent, thank you for the 10. Very generous again. Thank you, my friend. Longtime watcher, helped me discover lots of games. Luke, thank you. Thank you, my friend. And I'm glad you're watching. I'm glad to have you, my friend. That's wonderful. Luke, did you watch Luke from the voice actor for Capon play Case82 on stream? Yeah. No, I've popped in there a few times to watch. I hope he keeps streaming. I hope he keeps doing it. It's thoroughly entertaining, and I mean, I love seeing him promote the game. I think that's great. I watch more vids. Oh, that's totally fine, my friend. Yeah, it's always really interesting with this because we do all of the stream clips, we do the videos and stuff. And so we have a lot of people that like that just watch the videos, and then a lot of people who just hang out in the streams, and then there's some overlap across them. It's always very interesting to see where people come from. But anyway, let's see. Do I have... I was going to try to find... Oh, what is that app? Yeah, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm like a little shook. I can't believe that this actually looks like it's real, but anyway. Okay. Do I read YouTube comments or do I ignore them? It's gotten to the point where I can't really keep up with them, like even if I try. So I might pop in every once in a while and check something out, but I frankly can't keep up with it. So I read some. I'll pop into videos occasionally, but and kind of see where we're at. But I'm not able to like sit down and just watch videos or watch like the comment section and read through them anymore. Especially across all the different channels and stuff that we have, it's just not viable, really. Okay. Just trying to bookmark this, and there we go. Okay. New segment. Okay. So earlier in the stream, we talked about like AC Shadows leaks, or as Banana put it, pores at this point, of early copies going out and information leaking about that. We've talked about other potential leaks of upcoming games, like what Rocksteady's working on. But today, the biggest story that's going around is a leak for Elder Scrolls 6. What? It leaked? Well, this leak contains a lot of info. Javesh recaps all of it in this post and puts all this stuff out. And so there's been lots of people that have made videos about it and talked about it ad nauseum, and I'm not the only one to say this. Juicehead, as we'll see, did a fantastic breakdown of why this is almost certainly complete rubbish, but the leak is pretty much entirely made up as far as we can tell. It's a lot of like really basic speculation and rumors that have just been collected and basically put into a new thing that are claimed to be original, and it's almost certainly completely made up. So I'm going to start this by just saying this is all almost certainly made up, but it does start an interesting discussion of what they could bring to the table with Elder Scrolls 6. But I do want to point this out because it demonstrates just how easy it is for rubbish to start getting passed around, because basically, like, you might just see this post and then run with it. Ooh, the source is Xtasils. Okay, cool. I don't know what that is or who that is, but whatever. turns out that is like a YouTuber apparently that made this video. I had it somewhere. Ecstasis. Oh yeah, he's done leaks about like the Oblivion stuff. He's done all sorts of other stuff. But basically this guy, he is not, is this Spanish? What, I'm not sure. Anyway, he has done this stuff, or I don't know. He's done a lot of stuff, but he got his sources from like Colt Eastwood, who got his source from 4chan, and then that guy seemingly just made up the whole thing. It's real nonsense. But to summarize it, let me show you a little snippet from Juicehead's video. Juicehead killed it. I'm going to copy the link to his video and I'm going to post it in chat so you can go give him some love. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing is just complete nonsense, and Juicehead's going to explain why very succinctly and well. So boop, there it is. Let me show you Juicehead tearing this down and explaining why it's stupid.
If you post online in some of the major Elder Scrolls circles, you've probably heard about this big Elder Scrolls 6 leak that is getting a ton of coverage right now. And some seemingly reputable insiders are covering this one,
Emphasis on seemingly.
leading many to believe it could be legit. I've even had a ton of you reaching out to me to cover this one. And this leak does make some pretty major predictions, such as the fact that we should be seeing the Elder Scrolls 6 this year. Initially,
this is sort of a separate thing from all this, but I've also heard people say this. A prediction needs to be like testable for one. So if I just say, hey, around Venus right now is an asteroid that looks exactly like an Xbox controller to a T, but it's the size of a car. We can't test that. Like, we can't find out if that prediction is true. That's just me saying something. And then it's like, well, it could be true, it could be false, but you don't know. So therefore I'm right. That's not a prediction. That's just you saying stuff. So it has to be testable, which the game reveal is coming in 2025. That is testable because 2025 is a time period we're in, and we'll be able to tell by the end of the year if it was true. My frustration with some of these things is that by the time like 2025 is over, nobody will remember this guy or this leak. Everybody's going to have moved on. And so there's not really any consequence for just making stuff up. It's just, oh, well, I threw 50 things at the wall. One of them stuck, and that's all I'll be remembered. And you know, that's what we'll do. There are some exceptions. There are some like subreddits that track leakers, which I think Juicehead is going to mention briefly, but there are subreddits that keep track of leakers and give them like reputation scores, which I think is brilliant and is awesome. But that is something to just bear in mind, is that a lot of these leakers just throw crap out there until something sticks. And we'll see it in 2025. Ooh, it's a big prediction. That's like, it's not. They announced the game going on 7 years ago. 7 years ago. Like, it's not that crazy to assume we'll probably hear something about it this year. Their last game released like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. So chances are we probably see something from Bethesda, whether it's like a reveal, if it's a year or two out, maybe we get another trailer, something. That's not that crazy. It's not a remarkable or novel prediction. It's just really mundane, you know? And leakers will do this too, where they're like, yeah, I've gotten a lot of leaks right. I predicted that Xbox would reveal some games during the summer. And then I also predicted accurately, mind you, that PlayStation would have some games releasing next year. It's like, that's not a prediction, dude. Those are totally normal things. Nobody's impressed. Okay. So just remember, when a leaker is like, ooh, I got this accurate prediction over here, question whether it was like a novel, remarkable prediction, or if it was something just totally mundane and uninteresting, like the game's going to be shown this year. Yeah, we need the Todd candle. You're right. Okay, continue on. Juicehead, the king. Again, if you're not subbed to Juicehead, look how easy it is. Boop, Boop. So easy. So easy. I think I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm subscribed on my main like personal account, but apparently not on the
I
live channel
completely
yet.
wrote this leak off. I thought it was just nonsense, but then I saw quite a few people talking about it, and this is right around the time frame where we tend to get some legit leaks about these upcoming games. This was right around the time when the same thing happened with Starfield. Although sadly, when it comes to this Elder Scrolls 6 leak, it is almost certainly fake and you're being misled. A lot of the people covering this leak right now didn't bother to do the 5 minutes of extra research, so what...
Are you telling me that some of the people that are hyping up Elder Scrolls 6 leaks and speculation didn't do their homework and just ran with it because it told them what they wanted to hear? What? Can you imagine? Yes, everyone, praise be to Todd. Praise be. May Todd be with you and also with you. Continuing.
What you're mostly seeing online is Insider Ixtasis being credited as the source of this leak. And that immediately comes with some credibility. Ixtasis is a rated tier 2 leaker on the Gaming Leaks forum.
Isn't that kind of cool? That's what I was talking about, where they have reputation systems within some of these subreddits to rank them, which I think is brilliant. You know, they can track it. How accurate the rankings are, I don't know, but I do like the idea of being able to track longtime leakers and their reputations.
This is somebody who correctly predicted the date of the 2025 Developer Direct from Xbox, and was even the source, at least kind of, for some of those recent Oblivion remake leaks that were dominating headlines just a couple of months ago. But just like what happened with those past Oblivion leaks, it turns out that Ixtasis was really just reposting or really re-reporting what other supposed insiders already said, occasionally adding a few details himself. So with
And this is another thing to watch out for, because you'll see leakers, insiders, whatever, who are like, oh, there's like the AC Shadows leak that just happened. They take that and then they say, oh yes, I'm reporting that there's a leak going on and physical copies are out. And then they look at the leak and they're like, ooh, here's a specific piece of info about the main menu screen. And then they leak that. They didn't have any source. They're just reposting something that somebody else leaked, and somebody else was the source, but then they kind of latch onto that for easy credit. So again, like, you just have to be so cautious with these guys whenever they're like, yes, and I have a good reputation, because a lot of the time they don't. They just have a confusing reputation.
With those Oblivion leaks, the actual rumors were posted first by Nate Drake on Reset Era. Nate Drake having a really good track record for leaks, and
Do you
then
think that's the actual
later,
Nate?
Ixtasis did have a video with some very similar information and a couple of details added. And this time around, while Ixtasis did talk about this new Elder Scrolls leak, he isn't the source or even claiming to be, because Ixtasis describes how he learned about this one from Colt Eastwood, a popular Xbox YouTuber. So just make a mental note, if you're consuming content from somebody who said Ixtasis is the source of this leak, that means that person didn't even bother to check what Ixtasis said themselves. And in reality, a few days ago, Colt Eastwood made a great video covering this leak, tying in some other quotes from Todd Howard to add context on what was being said, but there was one critical piece of information missing from the video itself, and that being the source of this leak, which was a random 4chan post that was made in November.
It's kind of an important thing to mention in your video about a leak, is where the leak started. It's like a little crucial. It's a little important. And to his credit, he did have it linked in the description, but that could have been added afterwards when people are like, bro, you know that's a 4chan leak that you're talking about, right? And then he's like, ooh, let me link it. And then he links it. But that's the thing, is all these videos, all of this is starting from a guy on 4chan. That's where all of this is starting from, to be perfectly clear.
This 4chan post was clearly linked in the description, but there was no mention of 4chan in the video itself. And yeah, that's really the whole thing. A YouTuber covered a 4-month-old 4chan leak on the Elder Scrolls 6. Another insider talked about what that YouTuber talked about in a video, and now a bunch of other people or media outlets are further perpetuating this rumor. And what to me is genuinely the funniest part about all of this is the current Gaming Leaks and Rumor Reddit post about this has over 1,000 upvotes. This clearly attributing Ixtasis as the the source of this recent rumor, so it gives it a bit more credibility. But in the process of doing research for this video, I found that that exact same 4chan post was posted on this subreddit right around when it was posted on 4chan, and the post just was downvoted and mocked as being ridiculous and unbelievable. It took me like 3 minutes of effort to realize that the source of this leak was a 4chan post.
And this is why I like Juicehead. Juicehead has a good head on his shoulders, because he'll actually follow this stuff through, which is why I like Juicehead. And I think that you can watch Juicehead and be confident that he's put the effort in. And this, I mean, I think that this is the most telling and revealing thing. The source is the same between these two different 4chan posts, or between these two different Reddit posts. It's the same content that's being addressed, but when it's linked to the original, the primary source, everybody in the community downvotes it. It has 0 upvotes. I mean, it's in the negative, right? Everybody's bashing it as obviously fake and so dumb. And they're even like, don't take all this conclusively. Everything is still still early and very early in development and up in the air and could change by release. Which, when your leaker is saying that, they're admitting, yeah, if this ends up not being true, don't blame me. I could still be right. It just changed. It's like, it doesn't tell you anything. So, but like the primary source is the same on both of these, but because one is from, where is it?
Same 4chan post was posted. Process of doing.
Oh, here it is. When it's reposted with a separate source that's just a few layers above, it's still the 4chan, but this time it went through Colt, and then it went through Ecstasis, and now it's on the subreddit. People are like, oh yeah, this one's believable. But when it was the actual primary source, they consider it unbelievable and distrustful. So look for the primary source, dig into it. Like, dig into it. It's really not that hard. And I mean, thankfully there are YouTubers like Juicehead who will dig into it and will seek it out and find the OG source and the thing to run with, and whether it's real or at least obviously fake. And in this case, I mean, these leaks I think are pretty obviously, or the post is obviously fake. I don't think this insider had any insider info. I think it's just speculation. And given that speculation, it's not that remarkable. I mean, a lot of this, dragons will return. Okay, that's not a remarkable claim. That's not special. That's not like, that's very mundane. The game is going to be immersive with fast loading times. What the hell kind of leak is that? Like, what are you talking about? It's gonna be pretty good. Like, okay. The setting has been speculated a ton for a long time. Okay. Yeah. Like Jacob says, combat's coming back. Yeah. We're bringing combat back. Yeah. There will be menus. It's just like, wow, you really got that. The game will have fortress and village building alongside settlement building. Again, they've had building settlements and stuff. Fortress has something, this specifically has been rumored for a while, that you're going to be able to like build your own castle. It's something Todd has talked about in interviews, where he's wanted to add like the ability to have players that can build their own castles and then share those experiences with other players, kind of like what they did with the camp stuff in Fallout 76. So there's been rumors about that type of thing. Progression system is much more flexible, abandoning classes for natural progression and better combat. So they're just going back to Skyrim and their leveling system. Okay, that's not that remarkable. And again, like the more you dig into each of these bullet pointed claims, the less remarkable they really start to feel. The game might be at the Xbox Showcase in July of 2025. Might be. So even if it's not, the leaker still gets to claim they were right, because they said, yeah, I said it might be. So I wasn't sure because my source was accurate. So the leaker gets to claim they're right no matter the outcome. Like, again, it's nonsense. FTC leaks had the game set to release in 2026 at the earliest. This is true and unrelated to this post. The FTC leaks, this is also, they weren't leaks. There were filings they had to make as a part of the FTC hearings. And in some of those filings, there was information about their like timelines and everything. But those were from like 2020 and 2021. So no doubt things have changed. The expectation now is probably realistically that the game is coming in like 2027. They have been working on it. They were doing pre-production before Starfield released even. And with that, you know, it's reasonable to conclude that they probably are going to have something to show relatively soon. But even then, Todd has said many times before that he doesn't like the big, long, protracted marketing cycles, which I grant you is really ironic given how they announced Elder Scrolls 6 going on 7 years ago, and we've seen nothing about it. But nonetheless, I mean, it's still something he said, that he doesn't want there to be like a year between announcements. He wants to announce the game, do the gameplay reveal, and then drop the game 6 months later. That's what he tends to like. So I would still be surprised, frankly, if we saw it this year. I think we see like Fallout 76 updates, and maybe there's some New Vegas spin-off or something, not spin-off, like expansion for Fallout 76 that comes for the TV show to Fallout 76. Maybe they do something like that. Maybe we see the remaster / remake of Fallout 3 announced. But as for Elder Scrolls 6, I wouldn't be surprised if we have to wait another year. I think that that's a pretty safe assumption at this point, knowing how they like to do things. And there's just a bunch of other stupid things that they said in this leak, where they said stuff like the studio is in crunch culture right now, which doesn't make sense because the game is nowhere near launch. So what do you mean they're in crunch culture? Like, what are you talking about? And there's just a bunch of other little bitty things where you can tell it's just somebody making stuff up who doesn't really understand anything about the industry or how these games are built. And they're just making stuff up that they think sounds about right. And unfortunately, you've seen a lot of games journalists and news outlets run with this. They repost the story. They title it saying rumor, Elder Scrolls 6 leaks. And it just regurgitates all of this nonsense when ultimately it all goes back to a probably kid that posted on 4chan some random nonsense back in November. And because it was reported on, but not super clearly, from Colt, and then this other YouTuber reported on it, and then these other people reported on that person's report of it, it just gets buried to the point where nobody knows where it started because nobody's willing to actually dig into the primary sources and find out where it started. And that's just an unfortunate reality of the current industry, is that there's just no desire for figuring out what's actually real. It's just reporting on stuff you think is going to drive the clicks and make it easy to get people to watch and click. So do with that what you will. But realistically, you ready for my predictions for Elder Scrolls 6? These are my predictions that frankly are not that remarkable. Okay, so this is my Elder Scrolls 6 prediction thing. I think there will be some sort of ship customization. I think we will see that similar to what they did in Starfield, but it will be like a galleon or whatever, and you'll be able to select the rooms and organize them as you like it. I think that we see that. You'll have companions that come on and operate the ship with you, and then you'll be able to sail along the coastline. I pray to God, Howard, that it's actually sailing in real time, and that it's not something where like you have to quick load, be like, oh, I want to sail along the coast from this city, and then I load from this city up to this city, and I have to load between them. I hope it's not that. That would be really stupid, but don't get your hopes up. Other things, I think it's reasonable to expect that there's going to be some sort of castle building mode where you're able to build out your own castle and fortress, and you arm it and all of that. I think that the game is going to be pretty large. It's still going to be broken up with load screens all over the place. They've already said a bajillion times it's built with the same technology base as Starfield, so it's not even expected to be Creation Engine 3. It's expected to just be the Starfield engine, but running Elder Scrolls 6. So it's not expected to be significantly different, technologically speaking, compared to compared to Starfield. There's also rumors and speculation that they're going to do something with procedural generation, where they're going to do something like maybe dungeons that are procedural. So you have an endless number of dungeons you can go through. That would be something that I'd find to be totally unremarkable if it ended up being true, because it's a pretty safe assumption. They built all these procedural systems for Starfield. Makes sense that they would generate something for Elder Scrolls 6, because that's how Bethesda tends to work, is that they create something for one game, the next game comes out, they build something new, but then they bring everything from the old game into the new one, and then they just keep adding on to it. That's typically how they do things. And it's not a bad way to do it, obviously. I mean, they're a very successful studio, but that's why I think it's kind of unremarkable to say, hey, I think we see something like this thing they built for Starfield, but in Elder Scrolls 6. Yeah, no duh. I think we definitely see that. So other than that, I think that Elder Scrolls 6, my prediction right now, locking it in, is that it will probably end up being more unremarkable than you would expect. I think it's going to launch pretty close to The Witcher 4, and as a result, it's going to be compared a lot to that game, and it probably will be graphically and technologically way behind that, and that's going to lead to all sorts of, you know, compilation videos of how it's behind the times, and it's just going to be Starfield 2.0. I think, I would hope, and I would love it if I was wrong and the game ends up being phenomenal and way better than anybody is expecting. But for Bethesda, the trajectory over the last handful of years, in my opinion, and I think the opinion of a lot of fans, has been that Skyrim was up here, and then as the years have gone by, Fallout 4 was maybe like here in terms of quality, and then like Fallout 76, of course, was like rock bottom. But then after that, Fallout or Starfield was maybe like here, you know, not quite as good as Fallout 4, but you know, it's not atrocious, and I still stand by that. I don't think Starfield is a bad game. I think it's just meh. And then beyond that, I think Elder Scrolls 6, even if it maintains, it'll still feel like a downgrade compared to Skyrim, because I just don't think that BGS is currently set up as a studio to compete with the heavy hitters in the industry. And I think expectations are way higher than they can practically deliver. So that's my expectation. And guess what? If they end up blowing me away and Elder Scrolls 6 ends up being just as good as Skyrim, if not better, I will be way more excited. I'll be way more jubilant, because I was expecting it to be down here. I'll be so excited. I'll be so excited, because this is an amazing trajectory shift. For them to make that comeback and nail it, that would be amazing. I'll be so happy. But I'm going to keep my expectations low based on this direction that they've been headed in, which is not the direction you typically want to go. You'd hope that everybody's really excited because your games just keep getting better and better and crazier and crazier. But for BGS, recently it's been the opposite. So my hope is that they surprise me, but I'm going to keep my expectations low. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's see. Chanster Luke, I saw a photo of Shadows installing on PS5 on Threads. Yeah, we looked at that earlier in the stream. It looks like the game's leaked. Somehow. Physical copies got out and are leaking. So, yeah, I think we'll make a main channel video on it. Jacob, just so you know, if you're in here, I think right as I hop off stream, I'm going to film a main channel video and we can pump that out. Maybe put it out tonight just to talk about it. But yeah, to me, I looked it up. I dug into it a little bit, looking for something kind of specific. And to me, it looks real. Unfortunately. Okay. What else do we have? What else do we have? Anything? Let's see. We talked about that a little bit. I also just wanted to show this again. Somebody putting this out on stream last week, and I still can't get over how freakishly beautiful it is.
She's gone. Find her before she leaves the building.
Like, look at these cutscenes, dude.
What's the hole?
Officer?
Where's your brother?
He's working.
He's not in any trouble. We just want to talk to him. Maybe you could help. You wouldn't mind coming down the station with us, would you?
All right, I'll get my bag.
Good.
Good.
Hey. She's gone. Find her.
Like, isn't that insane? It's crazy. It's crazy. This is Eriksholm, The Stolen Dream. It's from Nordcurrent Labs. And to be clear, it is a narrative game that features like an isometric viewpoint and like dynamic stealthing. And it's not clear if it's like roleplay to me. But between the cutscenes swapping to this top-down look for gameplay, it seems to be just like outrageously high production value when it comes to the cutscenes and assets and stuff. It's absolutely wild. So, yeah, one to keep an eye on, I think. In my opinion. It's supposed to be coming this year as well. And it looks insane. Okay. Small time. Thank you for the super chat. Very generous. Hey, greetings from Istanbul. I'm working on a biggest flops report in recent years for the company and wonder about your take on the finals, why it failed. Majority of its players already gone with very poor retention. I mean, all I can really speak to is my experience with it. I think it's a good question. The finals is really fun. But in like small doses. I think it needed significantly more varied maps, environments, because the destructible buildings and stuff were cool, but ultimately every match ended up pretty much being the same, where it pretty much like boiled down to, oh, we are in this map. This type of player gets on top of this building, blows up the foundation. This falls over here. Like every game just started to blur together. And when your game is being sold on the gimmick of destruction and the chaos that comes with it, you just need more dynamism and dynamics. And part of that could have also been with just the quest objectives and the way that they set that up. But it's amazing tech. It's just, I think it's a game that relied too much on its own gimmick, I think. For me, it became a sweat fest. Yeah, maybe that's part of it. I just think when you have a game that's built around one mechanic, if players connect to that mechanic, that's great. But ultimately, you need more than just one thing to keep players hooked. You need a combination of things that work together and kind of meld into this unique concept. And I just think that they've not been able to really manage that as well as they needed to. Yeah, Neelax, it insists upon itself. Yes, quite. It insists upon itself. Wait, there was this game, looked like BioShock Infinite. Don't remember its name. Looked very cool. What happened to it? I almost guarantee you, I know what game you're talking about. Are you ready? Did I guess correctly? Did I guess correctly? This one? Was I right?
This city is a miracle of progress. A finely tuned,
yes, pew pew pew.
balanced machine. But it only takes one rebellious little gear to ruin everything. If you resist my rule, if you alter our past, if you threaten what I have built, there is nowhere in space or time where I will not destroy you. do.
Any last words before my friend puts one in your scalp?
I mean, come on. Isn't that crazy good? This looks so good. Oh man, I'm here for it. I need it in my life. But this is one that is coming at some point. I mean, they've been very coy. Let me see if I have scroll. I also love that kind of soundtrack when it's like really distorted. I love it. Here, Clobril posted this, which is the full lineup for Xbox, and you can see going back to like 2020, all this stuff. But Indiana Jones, Avowed, Towerborn, South of Midnight, Doom Dark Ages, Outer Worlds 2, Ninja Gaiden 4, Fable, all those are expected this year. State of Decay 3 is upcoming, Contraband upcoming, Clockwork Revolution, Gears of War E-Day, Elder Scrolls 6, Perfect Dark, Blade, OD, Everwild, Project Mara, Toys for Bob, which is an untitled Xbox project. All of those are upcoming sometime in the future, and we just don't know. So Clockwork could be this winter for all we know. I think that's unlikely given that they have Fable for this winter or fall. And that's going to be a big one. Fable represents one of the most expensive Xbox projects in their catalog right now. That's not like, not like Call of Duty, but still. Yeah, they've got a lot. Nearderich, thank you for that one. Reviews for AC Shadows are coming on the 18th. I bet you have a copy and you're not allowed to say, or you're about to. Blink twice if you have one already. I do not have a copy of AC Shadows. I can say that. I've not received one. I don't know when or if I'll receive one. I don't have one. Maybe people out there have it. It seems like leaked versions of it are out there. But yeah, I mean, I don't have one right now. And if I did, I would be like, oh, I can't say. If I did, I'd be really coy, but I don't. So, pro's not getting one. I would, like I've said with a lot of these games, I don't tend to couch much. If anything, like I try to remember that these are actual people that are making games. It's really easy to just be like, oh, this studio blew it, they suck. But you got to remember there are actual human beings working there, okay? Like they're trying to make the best game they can. Most of the time these games collapse because of mismanagement or directional issues. And if you're at the top of the heap and you're the game director and you pointed the studio in one direction and it was the wrong direction, yeah, we get to like point to you as being responsible for that. But if I think that they do something stupid with AC Shadows, I'll probably talk about it and we'll stream about it. We'll make 15 videos on it. And so they'll know where I'm at. And I mean, sometimes that upsets individuals. I heard that some people were not thrilled that I, for example, really didn't like Hellblade 2. I was more upset about that. I loved the first game. Thought it was brilliant. Had one of the most impactful and memorable endings of any game I've ever played. If you've not played the first Hellblade game and you don't know what ending I'm talking about, dude, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. But I don't know, man. I was so disappointed with Hellblade 2. You should check your free roam upload. It really is only 22 seconds. Is that just from a fail or a duplicate stream that accidentally went for a little bit? Oh, this one. Yeah, this just glitched out. I see. Yeah, no, I just fixed it. It's gone forever. It's dead. That was just a glitch because it accidentally started streaming to the wrong output, and so it kind of took a crap. But yeah, fixed. Thanks for telling me. Okay. Now that we finished that, let me circle back to this. Thank you to all the new followers over on Twitch, my friends. Thank you for that. Let me go back up and catch up on super chats real quick because there's a bunch. Let's see. Wilfredo, we need God Howard's candle lit. Praise be. You are right. He has been lit. Praise be to Todd. Encounter, thank you for the 2. My prediction, Elder Scrolls 6 will be buggy AF. I think if I see the buggy thing, I'm actually more hesitant to say because Xbox put a lot of effort into polishing Starfield, and it was the most polished Xbox game or polished Bethesda game I've ever played. It's not saying much, but it was the most polished. I think more than anything, it probably just is kind of lacking in scale and scope. That'd be my expectation. Like, I don't think it'll be graphically that impressive or anything. Small time. Let's see. We read that one. Thank you again for that super chat. Very generous. Eurogamer or IGN? If I have to pick one to read, probably IGN. Eurogamer, they like very transparently act, in my opinion, in very bad faith. What they did with like KCD2 was so laughably stupid. It was insane that anybody would continue reading them after the crap they were trying to pull with that game. So yeah, Eurogamer I do not take serious at all. Like, laughably terrible. Folly, thank you for the 5. Luke, people can buy AC Shadows disc version right up in Iranian online shops. It's available right now, like from trustworthy sites too. I live here, so yeah. So you mean like there's websites in Iran that are selling physical copies that you like ship next day? Is that what you mean? Cause damn. If that's true, that's ridiculous. I mean, if physical copies are leaking in the States, it makes me think that they shipped out a bunch of copies. They arrived in warehouses like a week ago, right around Valentine's Day. And then people have started swiping them and stealing them, and then they're leaking them and reselling them. Fali says yes. Jesus. I don't even know. How do they deal with this? Like, what if you're Ubisoft right now? What do you do? It's pronounced Iran. Oh, I see what you mean. I thought you were talking about AC Shadow stuff. Anyway. If you're Ubisoft right now, what do you do? Sell? Close? Like, I'm trying to think, if I was CEO of Ubisoft right now, what do I do? The game is leaked a month early. Physical copies are out there. I think the first thing I'd have to do is figure out how many copies are out there and DMC everything that's out there. So if it's like, if it's something like 500 copies worldwide, we can probably just DMCA everybody that posts about it, send cease and desists to all of them, and like scare them into not talking about it. Maybe do that. I would contact PlayStation and try to brick consoles or do whatever severe thing I could to lock that down, so people can't play it. I would probably, I don't know, but that's assuming there's only a few copies out there. If it really is true that like in Iran you're able to go and just buy copies because like entire shipments arrived and they're just selling them, do they try to move up the release date? Like, what do you do? I mean, they say that they delayed it to polish it up. It's bad. Shadow drop the game. Shadows drop the game. No? Okay. I'll just, yeah, anyway, it's been fun, guys. Bye. Does Ubisoft make any money with those leaked copies? No, dude. Like, what I think happened, it's similar to what happened when I worked at Best Buy. There was one chick who would steal stuff, and we caught her because she was kind of stupid and didn't, like, she was just, they don't catch the smart ones, I guess is my point. Because she would do something really stupid where, like, in the building, you know, you've got the big you know, ooh, it's Best Buy, ooh, yay. And so this is the floor, and then this was like the warehouse behind it, so there's a big wall, and then this is where the TVs are, and then this is where Magnolia is, and the PC area is over here. But this is all warehouse, and it goes back even further. I mean, it goes back like up here, but there was a cage back here that was for like returned products. And then there was a cage over here for like upcoming releases and stuff. But this didn't always exist. This girl would go and she would steal like Apple Watches and stuff people had returned out of this return to manufacture cage or whatever. And she'd just pocket them and leave. And we caught her eventually, and she got like charges filed. The police escorted her out in the middle of a work day. It was a whole thing. Because she worked in like customer service. So she would return stuff and then walk it back to where you put it in the cage. But sometimes she just would pocket it. But before they put in this cage, they used to just have things out. So like I remember when Spider-Man for the PS4 launched, or Sekiro or any of those games. I think I worked there when Sekiro launched. We got the copies of the game like 2-3 days early, and they would just keep them in the cardboard boxes, like just sitting on the warehouse floor. They would just sit back there. And it had a sticker on it that said, do not open until X date, blah, blah, blah date. And, you know, not available for sale until blah, blah, blah date. But it would just be sitting in a cardboard box, and it was hundreds of copies of that video game. And they would just sit back there. Like literally, there was just like a double door here. You could just walk back, take something, and walk out. It would have been very easy. Nobody ever did that as far as I'm aware. But it was not secure at all. And I think in a lot of places, it's not secure. Eventually, they started locking these things up because maybe there was an incident where somebody stole something and I just didn't hear about it. But eventually, they started locking these up. But I wouldn't be surprised if in some warehouses, that stuff isn't locked up. And they get a big shipment of AC Shadows stuff that says don't open until March 18th when you ship them out. And it's some big delivery super center like for Amazon or something. And then one of these guys swipes 10 copies, 50 copies, whatever, through a backpack over a few days. And nobody's noticed yet. And then he starts flipping them online for $100 a pop. Like, that unfortunately can happen. So it's not surprising to me. What is surprising, so it's not surprising to me that it's leaked now that physical copies are out. It is surprising to me physical copies are out. I don't know how on earth they screwed that up. Like, I don't know how that happens. Did they not call the manufacturer and say, do not ship these? Like, what? I don't know. This will be the argument to stop making physical editions. Dude, I wouldn't be surprised if for GTA 6 there aren't physical editions until like 6 months later. If it's this bad for AC Shadows, which allegedly nobody wants to play, imagine what it would be like for GTA 6. It'll be insane. I was gonna see if I could find this story. I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it. So at one time, I can show you this. But like just to demonstrate the point, this is the Best Buy I worked at in Fort Collins, Colorado. Okay, years ago, this is the one I worked at. Simple little place. But if we zip around here. Okay, we're on the back. This is like employee parking. Fun fact, there was a car parked here when I worked here, and apparently a guy had had a heart attack and died, like in the car. And so they took him, him to the ER. He dies, or he is dead or whatever. But they left his car there for like a year and a half. It just sat there. And so it was one of the things where, like, you come and you park next to the dead guy's car. It was just like a well-known thing that's the dead guy's car. I'm sure it's gone now, but yeah, he had all sorts of books piled up in the back seat. I remember it, like a bizarre number of books, like thick books and novels and stuff. I don't know if he lived in his car or what, but it was very, very interesting. But what happened was one time while we were working, somebody tried to break in overnight, and they I don't think I can get to the angle, but back behind the building, I mean, you can see it's made of cinder block. Somebody tried to go behind these bushes in the middle of the night, and they tried to, with like hammer and chisels, break through the wall. And they cut a hole about this big to squeeze through. And their goal apparently was to steal like iPhones and stuff, which is about the stupidest thing you could possibly do, because iPhones are all like IMEI locked. So if you steal an iPhone, you can't just use it. Like, you can't, that's not how it works at all. Like, if you're going to steal something from a Best Buy, iPhones are just about the stupidest thing you could possibly buy or steal, because you can't, you can't. It's just amazingly dumb. You would get more out of stealing the box of Cheez-Its used to refill, the snack counter. It's just dumb. But anyway, their goal was to do that. And then apparently they told the officers they also wanted to steal TVs, which is also really funny because the hole was this big around. How are you going to get a box for a 65-inch TV through there? I don't know. But what makes it even more hilarious is we came in to the building, when it's our work shift. The police are there because the manager got there to open up the building and saw that the building was freakishly cold. It was the middle of the winter. It was like 5 degrees in the building. And we're like, what is going on? And it's because they dug this hole in, and so all the cold air was just pouring in. But these morons, the whole back wall was these big shelves with these big pillars, steel pillars. And then these pillars supported shelves that you put very heavy things on. I mean, you put big electronics, TVs and stuff we would mount on these shelves. And these morons dug their hole literally right centered on one of the pillars. So they spent all night digging, trying to break through the wall. And they went right up against the steel pillar. And so one of them was able to get in, but then they got caught because it took them so long, and the other guys couldn't fit. And so it was like one of the most hilariously bungled, stupid attempted burglaries probably in the history of Fort Collins police work. I'm sure they were amazed, but it was just the dumbest possible location. It was the dumbest possible thing, but that's what they were willing to do to try and get some iPhones they wouldn't have been able to resell and some TVs. People will go even crazier for GTA 6 stuff because with the TV, you steal it, you might be able to flip it for $1,000, right? If it's a really nice TV that you were able to steal. iPhones, if you could get them to work, you flip it for that. GTA 6, dude, people will pay $5,000-$6,000 a copy for that. I would not be surprised at all. I think they'll be willing to spend so much money on it. It's going to be it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a real problem. So I wouldn't be surprised, especially after this, if they announce that they're yeah, we're not doing physical copies for GTA 6. We're just not. You can buy the game digitally, and if you want a physical copy, wait 6 months. Yeah. Someone said Kingdom Come looks cool, but I can't get over how it seems like you're just playing with dolls. What are your thoughts on that, Luke? Playing with dolls? What do they mean playing with dolls? I don't even know what that means. Playing with dolls? What do they mean by playing with dolls in Kingdom Come? I don't know what that even means. Yeah, GTA YouTubers would spend tens of thousands. Yeah, I mean, there's been stories of like, oh, maybe you guys remember, there was a YouTuber, it was years ago, where he received a copy of like a hotly anticipated game early, and he decided to play it and review it early. Even though he didn't get a review code, he got his physical copy early. And so he made a whole video on it and a review video, and then he ends up getting blacklisted from the industry, and he tried to play victim, even though he's the one that did that to himself. Do you guys remember who I'm talking about? Someone did it for Starfield. I feel like I'm thinking of one from even earlier, like way back in the day, but maybe if it happened with Starfield too, maybe that wouldn't surprise me. It's just like, those, just getting access to a game early, and I can't be specific, okay? I can't be specific, but there was a game in the last couple of years that was hotly anticipated and highly demanded, let's just say, and review codes went out. And then we hear through like the grapevine that somebody was trying to sell their review code for like tens of thousands of dollars through some forum somewhere. And so like the whole PR team, marketing team, everybody went into total lockdown. They had all of us check. We had to send in all of our stuff for our PCs and everything that we were using. It was like a whole thing because they wanted to make sure that it wasn't us that was selling like this copy of the game on a forum somewhere. But that's why, like, for some people, these review codes and early access to the games are worth, in some cases, tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, if you're able to do a big review that does 1 million views and you also get a big sponsor for it, that could literally be worth tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, it's huge. It's a massive thing. And so it's just really, really crucial to be locked down with it. But unfortunately, with some of these big warehouses and things like that, there's just too many variables, because you have to worry about leaks and people stealing copies from the manufacturer, and then you have to worry about people that are shipping it stealing it, and then you have to worry about the like warehouses where they store the games until they're ready to be shipped. You have to make sure none of those people steal a copy to try to flip it, and then you have to be worried about the final shipments and stuff. And it's just one headache after another. In which case, like, I would not be surprised if they just lock it down and say, no physical copies. We're just not going to risk it. And after this thing with AC Shadows, can you really blame them too? I mean, GTA 6 is going to be way worse. Way more drama with it. Do companies give review codes and expect you to goodmouth their games? No, actually most review guides that you receive, because basically you receive like the game code and then they give you a review guide that just says, don't show this cutscene. Don't like sell your copy of the game, you know, just like legal stuff. But in most of the review guides that I've seen in the last handful of years, they specifically say in like bolded text, be honest and genuine with your thoughts. Like they specify you are not being compensated. You're not being asked to say anything specific about the game. This is just you. So yeah, they're not giving you that stuff to like require you to be positive. There is sort of I think for especially newcomers to the industry, there's a fear of upsetting them, where it's like, hey, you gave me a review code, I want you to give me a review code next time too, so I'm going to be gentle and I'm not going to say or be as mean as I want to be with this game. I'm going to be gentle with you. And that's in my experience, you just don't, like, that's not a thing. And honestly, if a company or a publisher is going to be petty enough to ban you for reviewing one of their games poorly, there's going to be plenty of other stuff to talk about with them. Okay. Plenty of other stuff. I have been very open that I think Valhalla is a travesty of open world design. I hate that game in so many ways, but they still invite me to preview events, send me review codes. Like, Ubisoft is still very communicative. And, that's despite me not liking a good number of their recent releases, but they still contact and interact. And I think that's totally fine. I think that's how it should be. Veilguard handpicked their reviewers. Yeah. That's why that was kind of a scandal. That's why I'm saying, if you get to the point where like you want to cover a game or a publisher or studio, whatever, and there's something that happens where you being more critical gets you, like, you lose access because of that, or partially because of that, there will be other things to talk about. And with Veilguard, honestly, Veilguard not sending me a review code probably ended up getting me more views, attention, and revenue and everything than if I just got the damn review code, which is kind of funny that just getting access, or them not giving me access, ended up helping me more than if they had just done what they said they were going to do, which is a little funny. It's a little funny. Yeah, the Streisand effect. Yeah, exactly. And instead of just, hey, the reviews are pretty good, or even the reviews are fine. Maybe if, the reviews had ended up being in the high 70s, it would have been like, oh, the reviews for Veilguard are fine. That would have been whatever. We would have just moved on. But instead, the whole thing became all around launch. Oh, they were hand selecting reviewers. They didn't want this person to review it. Oh, and this reviewer hated it. And it just turned into a needless scandal, It's just dumb. Wasn't there a guy who reviewed No Man's Sky early? Yeah, I think you're right, Casablanca. Yeah, it was like a random dude, though. I think it was in Internet Historians video. I vaguely remember that. Let's see. Early. Yeah. Yeah, you're right here.
Sean, if your game isn't coming out for another 2 weeks, then why is there a box copy on eBay? That's right. It's a leak. Someone broke the embargo and is selling early access to the highest bidder. And the bids start rolling in. It reaches $1,300 US. Sold to some guy with the Reddit handle Damien. He gets his hands on it and starts uploading footage to YouTube and Dailymotion.
What? What the frick?
Said Sean and Sony. Damien finished it a lot quicker than expected, but he gave it a decent review.
There are things I don't like, there are things I like, but at the end of the day, when I say to myself, what is this game supposed to be? This, what I'm looking at right here, this is what the game is supposed to be.
He noted a few problems, but said he was optimistic that they would be ironed out with the day one patch.
Nope. Nope. Oh, man. So anyway, these leaks are bad. Leaks bad. Leaks real bad. Now I want to rewatch that No Man's Sky video, kind of. Man. Bummer. Oh, man. It took 10 years for a proper day one patch. Yeah, dude, for real. Let's see. Dropping GTA on digital release and only doing special edition for physical game that could help with the leaks. Yeah, and my thing has been that I think they'll do such an early release, like early access thing, where it's like 5, 6, 7 days, that it's like you can buy the game digitally and play it now, or you can get your physical copy in a week or two. And so they don't even start shipping them out until after the game's already dropped. Yeah. If they use these leaks as excuse to stop releasing physical copies of the games, I'll be pissed. I mean, I think this won't be the excuse. I think GTA 6 will be the excuse, or could be an excuse for it. So $150 3-day access. No, I think they do like 5 to 7 day early access. I think that's what they do. We're going to find out soon enough. I mean, I think we probably find out April, May, and that's about it. But I think April, May, we probably find out and see if I was right. You're right. I gotta keep catching up on super chats. Yeah, Neardridge, thank you again for that super chat. I do not have a review copy of AC Shadows, and if I did, I'd be really coy. I'd be like, ooh, maybe I do, maybe I don't, but I don't. Sabine, thank you for the sub with Prime over on Twitch. That's very generous. Bethman, thank you for the 10 bits as well. Encounter, thank you for the 5. I don't get excited by game reveals anymore. Pragmata, Little Devil Inside, Judas, etc. So many games revealed long ago with no substantive updates. The Judas thing is bizarre, yeah. And unfortunately, I also just don't know why there's been so many games that have just been announced and then like dumped and forgotten. It's really dumb, but hopefully we start to see that stuff actually release and see the light of day. That's the hope, at least. That's the hope. Ludwig, yeah, we looked at the Elder Scrolls 6 leaks earlier. Yeah, it's a big dumb thing. It's I don't know what ones Maddie looked at, but if it's the ones that Juice had talked about, yeah, they're totally fake and very dumb. Is there a way to turn off ads for members? I don't actually think so, Jimothy. I've tried, but it's like a YouTube thing. I think YouTube just wants you to subscribe to YouTube Premium. I think that's what they're trying to get you to do. Because I've tried to turn them off for members. And then let's see. Fali, thank you for the 5. My internet sucks ass. Sorry, Luke. Just type this and then you'll see everything. All those pages are trustworthy. Where's my mouse? I swear to God, if this gets me put on, or if this ends up being something unrelated. Let's see. Yeah, dude, there's a bunch of physical copies of AC Shadows people are selling on these marketplaces. Jeez, dude. I guess it's tough to say if they actually are like shipping yet, but yeah, when you search that, there's a bunch of these. That's insane, man. Yeah, that's crazy, man. Which is worse, the launch of Cyberpunk or the launch of AC Shadows? Well, we don't know. The thing with Cyberpunk is that the hype was crazy. Everybody thought it was going to be amazing, and that ends up being ass and running, or specifically running like ass and not being ready for launch. For Shadows, it's been different, where the game is, I'm pretty confident the game's going to be solid enough. Like, I don't think it's going to be a masterpiece, but I'm sure it's going to be pretty good. But they've just, like, every single time there's a chance to step on a rake and just slam themselves in the face, they've managed to do that. And some of it's not their fault, you know, some of it is you know, unrelated to all of that, but it's just been one thing after another, and it's just insane, man. It's just insane. It's like, really, they just can't catch a break. It's just one thing after another. Like, is it Ubisoft's fault that somebody stole a copy or multiple copies of the game and are selling it on eBay? No. Like, that's not their fault. That's the fault of the warehouse or whoever else is managing it. Sure, they could have maybe locked down manufacturing and not had physical copies like built so early, but you know, it's also the warehouse's obligation to protect the assets and things in there. Like, and like, it's not Ubisoft's fault that the warehouse failed and that now people are selling copies they stole. Like, this is how it is. I mean, they should have recovered the copies that were sent out, but even that, it's like, okay, they recover the copies that were sent out. They go to a warehouse to be stored. We don't know where these copies that were stolen were taken from. Were they taken from the initial warehouse? Were they taken from a UPS warehouse? Were they taken from the warehouse where Ubisoft was keeping them, you know, before they shipped them back out? Like, we just don't know. Were they stolen from the manufacturer? It's unclear. We just don't know, but I'm sure Ubisoft's trying to figure it out. I'm sure whoever that guy is that's pictured holding the copies and selling them, I'm sure he's getting a call. Excuse me, my goodness. Will I buy one? No. No. No, I'm good. I just don't understand what the deal, like, you're going to buy a copy of a game that's not finished yet. You probably are going to get a cease and desist, and like, you're going to get sued by Ubisoft. You're probably going to get your gaming accounts that you've bought digital copies of games on banned for life, and all of those copies you've bought digitally are going to get shut down and taken from you. Like, and you're going to do all of this to play a broken version of the game that's not ready for launch? Like, why? What is the point? Yeah. It's just dumb. I'm genuinely baffled as to why Ubi didn't go the safe route and do male, female, Japanese main characters. I mean, I think for one, the game was greenlit in an era where everything was about trying to create the most diverse cast as you possibly could get. And so they thought that having Yasuke could be a really cool way to shake it up and do something unexpected and to have a more varied cast. But it's releasing right at a time where everybody in the gaming community is just tired of same old. They want something fresh. They want the game to just be good instead of trying to check off whatever boxes. Like, there's just so many different things that are piling into it. And it's also, Ubisoft is coming off of years of pretty bad PR and mismanagement. And so it's just one thing after another. Like, I think that there's a bajillion things that have stacked into it to make it into what it is now, which is a game which, again, I think is going to be a solid video game. It's not a game you should be playing if you're hoping for historical realism, but that's never been the case with AC. Like, I don't think anybody would ever go into Assassin's Creed expecting historical realism. But it's probably going to be like fine. It's going to be a Ubisoft game, like a Ubisoft open world game. That's exactly what it's going to be. But yeah, I think that they are both anxious for it, and I'm sure they also are excited to just kind of be able to move on and to just get it behind them, because it's just been one thing after another, you know, one thing after another. Oh, Spencer, you're right. Hold on. You're right before. Oh, you're right. Thank you for the 2. Look up Twisted Tower, heavily inspired by BioShock. Twisted Tower. That does sound familiar. It released earlier in February. Twisted Tower. Oh yeah, look at this. Twisted Tower. Oop. That was loud.
Did she reject your proposal, lad? Or was it the money that made her sad? Take this ticket, don't delay. Join the Twisted Tower today.
Oh God, I'm a professional streamer. Jesus Christ, dude. This whole time. Camera's on the whole time, huh? It's like, what the hell are you watching, dude? What are these sounds?
Did she reject your proposal, lad? Or was it the money that made her sad? Take this ticket, don't delay. Join the Twisted Tower today. Climb to the top, claim fortune's treasure, seize your power, and land forever.
Who knew? Twisted Tower. Also, it is on Steam, coming soon. The demo is out. If you want to try it, so go check that out. That seems really cool. I might try that demo myself. That's crazy. Yeah, and definitely very, very Bioshocky. Very Bioshocky. I think that looks great. That looks fun. Okay. Played this. It was actually fun. Oh, good. That's awesome. I thought you were just chilling. Oh, I'm always just chilling. I have seen some of those videos of some streamers where they just like sit and do nothing for like a minute or two. Dude, that would cause me to freak out. I don't know if I could do that. You know, where they're like, hold on, I just have to do something real quick. And they're usually eating at the same time, you know, very obnoxiously. It's like, stop it, man. Song live reaction. Oh man. Oh man. Should we do... Maybe we touch on this real quick. I just want to load Jacob up. That sounds weird. I'm sorry, Jacob. I want to load you up with clips to be able to turn into clips. I'm sorry. It sounded weird to say I'm going to load you up, but you know what? We're here now. We're just going to move forward positively. Peace and love. Anyway, okay. Let's see. Okay. It's been like 6 months since we touched on all of this, but maybe we touch on it here. So, new segment. One of the biggest games that's coming this year, I mean, it should be coming this year, or at least we should be seeing a lot more of it this year, is Marathon. This is, of course, the latest game from Bungie, or will be the latest game coming from Bungie. This is it was initially expected to be an extraction shooter. And it's just not really clear what the game is going to be, because this is pretty much all we've seen. We've seen some announcements and some like interviews with devs, but everything's been very, very coy. What we know is that things have shifted. Design has shifted. They got a new game director who previously worked on Valorant. The game has shifted now and actually has a much greater focus on, as reported here from Tom Henderson from last March, It's going to have a selectable cast of heroes and characters, which is something they've also talked about in some of the like interviews and stuff that they've done. So if I look up Bungie, Bungie Marathon. Yeah, developer update. You can see this.
You might be asking the question, what is Marathon? Well, Marathon is our take on essentially an extraction shooter. And if you don't know what an extraction shooter is, it's a game type where you essentially go into a dangerous world, a world filled with essentially hostile mobs and players alike that are all sort of existing in that environment and a huge threat to you and challenge your ability to survive and get out alive. The goal of every session is to get out alive. And along the way, you're going to be completing quests. You're going to be finding loot, loot that will either help you upgrade yourself or things that you can equip yourself and make yourself stronger. If you get out alive, all that loot is yours to keep. If you don't, you will be losing all that and someone else will be able to take that from you. It's an intense game. So in that sense, we like to say it's a game that's not for everybody, but if you are interested in sort of having that intense survival experience and having a game where the stakes really matter and you feel like you're challenged to survive in a really, really harsh and interesting world, then Marathon's just right up your alley. So yeah, hopefully that sounds appealing to you. The other thing to note about Marathon as a game is that we give you a lot of different tools to do a lot of different things inside the game. There's a ton of loot that you can find. There is weapons, there's equipment that you can equip to yourself that changes your stats or gives you sort of tweaks some of the things that you can do inside of the game. There is utility consumables that are sort of like items that you can use inside of the world, like things that are like mines or like grenades. There's also consumables that help you sort of heal yourself and give you utility in that sort of way. But beyond that, there's also this other layer that is what we like to call our runners, which is sort of the template by which you equip all that stuff to. So each runner has like a small subset of abilities. And on top of that, you get to customize however you want. Thinking about sort of what you want to accomplish inside of the game, you might equip different types of gear to your character, to your runner, and then go on those runs with that gear in mind. Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways a run can unfold inside of our game with all those different pieces. There's also a lot of different sort of objectives and things like that that exist inside of the game. But of course, every single one of them comes with its own risk. And the risk is always present that if you don't get out alive, you will lose the things that you have on you. Talking a little bit about the world of Marathon.
So you can already start to kind of get an idea of what they're expecting. It's an extraction shooter. It's got much more of a focus on the heroes and the archetypes of the heroes. They're going to mention, I believe he mentioned specifically this one back there. So previews and stuff. Who are we? Stuff like that. He's going to talk about this character as well. So you'll get a decent idea of what this is expected to be.
Our game is obviously set in the IP of Marathon, which is one of Bungie's classic IPs. I think the first game released in 1994, so it was quite a while ago. But what we're doing with that world is we're taking a lot of the familiar elements, especially a lot of the things around the mysteries and the kind of eeriness and sort of like the, how do I put it? Like the psychological kind of creepiness of the entire IP as it exists before. But we're layering on some elements that we think really help modernize it and also bring it to a new story that we can sort of, and new world that we can sort of like continue to update and delight all of you with over the course of time. Where are we at right now in terms of making this game? Well, for the past couple of years, we've been doing a lot of aggressive change to the game, and we've been iterating pretty heavily. And during that time, we've been testing with a lot of players like yourself, also with creators. And so it's sort of insanely awesome. And I'm filled with gratitude when I think about it, because there's so many people who've just contributed by telling us, hey, this thing sucks, or this thing is great, in a way that really has helped us diagnose, analyze, and shape and shift the game in great ways.
This is something that's been reported a number of times, is that they apparently started bringing in streamers and like content creators and players and stuff that were high rank within certain games, whether that's Tarkov or what's another one? Hunt Showdown, or even Destiny. They were bringing in a lot of players, letting them play test the game, getting feedback, and then changing it based on that. And there's been reporting that major shifts have happened. For example, when the current game director came in, he swapped it around, and it wasn't previously built around heroes. It was built around just the player character, and that's it. And then he came in with his experience from Valorant and then reworked it into what it is now. So there's been a lot of shifts and a lot of changes that have happened. But interestingly enough, they say, like right here, previews. Let's see if he mentions this.
Having said that, let me give you a sneak peek of a couple of images you might have been staring at that kind of exist in the background behind me. One of the images that is going to be showing up on your screen is of a runner that we have in our game. Its code name is currently Thief, which might...
So again, another archetype. This is one of the playable characters. This is another one that they show, and it gives you a good vibe. I like the art style. It's grown on me a lot, but more than anything, the bigger takeaway is that he says in this that they're going to be showing, they're going to be doing a lot. Like they say, probably a closed beta in 2025, which it might and should probably happen. But as for when we actually see the game release, it could be next year. It could be by the end of this year. Maybe they're doing closed betas middle of this year, and then it'll release later this year. We just don't know. But they've taken a very interesting approach to the marketing of it, because the original, I didn't realize this, but like the original game or the original trailer, it's got 21 million views. 21 million views. Like, that's a good number for a trailer. You know, granted, this trailer's from May of 2023. It's been out a while. It's had time to collect views. But that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time. Likes to dislikes. I don't have that plugin because in my experience, it's pretty inaccurate. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what the like dislikes are. I don't think it tells you a whole lot. But with this, I think I think that at the very least, there's a lot of people interested in what Bungie has to offer. Now, in the last couple of years, there's not been a whole lot from them that's excited people, we'll just say. And so it really is going to be interesting to see how they approach it this year with Marathon. If they're going to be totally transparent, or if they're going to take the approach of this like dev update where they're really coy and they don't really want to say super clearly what's in the game. They don't want to show it to you. I don't know. Because they could continue to be really coy even through the end of this year and just do closed play tests and then collect more feedback, and then they do an official reveal later. I don't know, but it's interesting to see the approach thus far. But I don't know what this year holds. But I'm excited to see what Bungie is up to, because I don't think they're gonna try to just like, well, they can't afford to just phone this in. Like, they need this to be a big hit. They need this to do really well. And they obviously know that as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they approach it. Yeah, 97K likes, 5K dislikes. Yeah, Shadow Wolf. And in my experience, that plugin tends to, like, in some cases, double or even triple the real dislike number. At least in my experience, that's what it's shown. So the point is, I think the vast majority of people are really positive towards Marathon. At least I saw that trailer, which I think this trailer looks good. I think what they've shown there looks good. It worries me that it's been 2 years and we really have not seen much of anything about the game. So I hope that they've got more to show, especially because it's changed a lot in the last 2 years, allegedly also. So a lock 97K is 0.0 or 0.5% dislikes. It's definitely botted. I mean, I don't think so, or people just like it. It's botted, or people like it. You know, it's like even AC Origins has more, this trailer has more likes on it. I don't know what the dislikes are on this, but you know, these had crazy high like to dislike ratios. But to be fair, they were also just really good trailers. This trailer was baller, dude. As a Giga fan for Ancient Egypt, Oh yeah, this song will get me copyrighted, but this trailer was so baller. Oh. Oh. More games in Egypt, please. Please give me, please. Anyway, Marathon. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on it. I expect we probably hear something soon. The rumor has been, I think it was Tom Henderson on Insider Gaming. He was saying that he expects that they're going to do some reveal in like April. And we'll see if that's the case. There's also like the big Sony like Horizon Zero Dawn multiplayer, whatever the hell game, and that allegedly is coming in 2025, and I'm like, they're starting to run out of time to reveal it and show it. So, and I don't think they like, there's no way Sony releases Marathon next to the Horizon thing. So are they going to just like reveal the Horizon thing in June at a showcase and then drop it in July? Like, what are they going to do? I don't know, man. Yeah, the song was fire. Yeah, it's like I forget what the like poetry is that he's reciting during it, but it's yeah, that whole AC Origins cinematic trailer was baller. So good. AC used to go so hard with their cinematic trailers. Even this one for like AC Syndicate was crazy. And Syndicate wasn't even like that amazing of a game. But these cinematic trailers they used to go so hard with them, man. Oh. Oh. 0.5% views versus likes is very low for a typical good trailer. Okay, whatever you say. Ithium, thank you for the 250. Hey Luke, did you check out Solasta 2? Solasta 2. Sequel to Solasta Crown of the Magister. Did we look on this? Look at this on stream? It's like ever so vaguely familiar, but I don't think so. I mean, the point is, if you're asking if I played it or something, I did not. I did not. No. But yeah, I mean, if it ends up being good, then maybe that's something I jump into. Uncover the lands of Niokos. It's very like Baldur's Gatey. So maybe that's my next thing. Looks good, just like the tabletop. It's based on the world's most popular TTRPG. But they don't want to say Dungeons and Dragons. Huh. Oh, and they have a demo too. Oh, so we can just try the demo. Oh, hell yeah. Based on the SRD 5e rule set. Oh, okay. 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 I'm tracking. Okay, yeah. I'll have to check that out. Interesting. You know me. I love me some Baldur's Gate. I love my Baldur's Gate like stuff. Okay. We know more about Exodus than Marathon Red Flag. I mean, they, without a doubt, they've been very coy and quiet about it. And that might just be because they're working on it and it just keeps getting better and better and they can't wait to do the full reveal. Or it could be that they really are not ready to show it because it's changing so quickly and so often that they just don't want to bother with it. I don't know. I don't know, but it's definitely frustrating and weird that we've not seen more when the last trailer was like 2 years ago. And then they're doing some stuff, like they're doing the developer interviews and things, which I like the more candid look at the game's development. I appreciate that, but I also want to know what the game looks like and how it plays. And maybe that reveal is coming, you know, in April, but we just don't know yet. Let's see. Did I catch up on all those? Any thoughts on Inzoid? Do you think it'll be a competition for Sims? I don't know. They've said some stuff that's really weird about it. Like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if they can actually deliver on it. I'm optimistic that it ends up being impressive. God knows they need some competition for Sims because The Sims has sucked for a very long time because they've had no competition to push them. But time will tell. Oh, goodness, excuse me. I'm sorry. Yeah, time will tell. Time will tell. They've got a tall order, but I'm confident they can do it if they rise to the occasion. You know, the people I've seen, people have said that they're very excited for it, but oh, weird. AC has just come out. Hello, everyone. We're aware players have accessed AC Shadows ahead of its official release. The development team is still working on patches to prepare for the experience for launch, and any footage shared online does not represent the final quality of the game. Leaks are unfortunate and can diminish the excitement for players. We kindly ask you not to spoil the experience for others. Thank you to our community for already taking steps to protect everyone from spoilers. Stay in the shadows, avoid the spoilers, and keep an eye out on our channel for more official surprises in the coming weeks. Jeez, dude. So they just confirmed it's real. I told you. It looks real. I don't want to say what I was looking for in the leak, but when I saw it, I was checking for one thing in particular, and it's something that, as far as I'm aware, the public had never seen before. And so I was like, I don't think if this is fake, I don't think they'd have that. But so side quests. no, something else. Wow. Okay. Oh, wow. I can't believe that. Is the thing you were looking for cool at least? No, it's something very small, like something that a faker or somebody faking something wouldn't know about. Because it's not often like the broad strokes that reveal something as like a fake leak. It's the details. It's the small incidental stuff that they just didn't know about. It could be something as simple as like a font or a certain animation when something transitions or any number of things, but it's the small details and the small stuff that they wouldn't have anticipated or wouldn't know about. But yeah, after seeing it, I was like, oh no, that's that was real. So, oh wow, that's crazy. So what I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna go film a quick little video on this AC Shadows thing that we're gonna put up on the main channel. You guys should go watch the Monster Hunter review. If you haven't already, go watch that and get ready because Monster Hunter is baller. You guys have been amazing. I love you all desperately. Thank you for being very generous today. For all the membership, subs, super chats, all that. You guys are crazy, and I appreciate every single one of you. The real Taylor, thank you for the sub with Prime, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate you. And yeah, we'll be back on Wednesday. So buckle up, buckaroo. We'll see you again soon. Okay. Much love, everybody. Stay safe and don't look at leaks because they will spoil it for you. Okay. Much love. See you soon. Bye-bye. Mwah.